Twitch should be live. Yeah, like I said, it's getting the data. It's just well, like I said, I'm using Restream instead of because I'm trying to go to Twitch and YouTube. YouTube's showing up just fine. Like the YouTube one is perfect. It's just Twitch that's having a problem. Shouldn't make a difference. What? I don't even. Are are they live? Dude, I don't. I don't even have them. I'm at it. I'm literally at the stream.
Long hours. Keep it
Motherfucker. I don't know. All right, whatever.
Introducing Glimmy A Gloss for a perfect.
Yep. We're still smoking that bacon.
Grim 42
There we go.
is on a server where there's some sort of event going on. We don't follow events, but if we see that there's a major thing going on in the server, and think about when meshing comes, we see something major going on. Let them. We're not gonna be like, we're gonna be nice and let them do. We're gonna have at it. We're gonna regardless of how you feel. We're gonna have at it. And if there's security there, that's their job to stop it. And if there's security there, if we're on meshing, job to stop. The chances of that being a thing where we run across that is going to be much higher.
I mean, we could talk about. Let's talk about security for a second, okay? So
There we go.
So that the Onzia event, right? So they had 32 security. Let's go back to that real quick. So they had Vex Obscurum, Spectre Security Contracting. They had First Squadron, Nightingale, Ragtag Mercs, and this little org called Vertin and Intergalactic. Okay, they had like 5 different security orgs. What is the point of hiring security orgs if you're gonna mass report the people that you hired the security orgs to deal with anyway? Because that's the only way I see this.
Well, what was it you were saying that the security org was saying how they should treat the security was?
Well, see, their form of security was to take pictures. Don't worry, we got you. We'll make sure they don't show up next time.
I mean, that is a countermeasure, though, regardless, right?
If you
really think about it.
I did tell you we have audio of like their security debriefing.
We're not going to share that, though. Yeah, we won't share that, though.
Yeah, I'm not going to share. We're not going to share that, but.
Okay.
Yeah, and then one of the people in that meeting was like, "Well, the best way to deal with griefer is just to hop servers." Like that's fine. I don't really care if people do that. It's just using the game to using what's available, right? If the game allows you to hop servers, there's different.
Yeah,
servers,
because
whatever.
we are playing like an unpolished alpha. There are so many options to avoid said situations, and that makes sense. I get that.
Yeah, it's the mass reporting that I have contention with. Why are you hiring? Is this like for the guys that are running the security out there? And if you guys are in the stream chat right now, like, is this what you are now? You're like, are you there to pew the bad guys? Or are you just there to do the paperwork and just write down the names and then submit to CIG and mass report?
I mean, think about the number of people that you attacked in the first place, though. You're attacking what, 44 people? That's 44 reports potentially there, and that's a lot of like spam into the same system. If they're all struck, I mean, that I don't know. That's like saying mass reporting with the experience doesn't make any sense when there was what, like 30, 40, I don't know how many people were actually involved in that, but
Oh, the
It
experience
seems like
had
those
I
numbers
had a
would.
similar amount of people. I think there was like 30 something,
Yeah.
30, 40
Well,
people
well,
involved in it too.
yeah, but here's the other thing. CIG's aware that they have weaponized the reporting system. Like it's not like a secret. Like they know that's a thing that they're doing, right? They have what was it you were saying? They have like keywords, right? That they have to make sure that's on the reports, right?
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah. Let's hold on. Let's
You want
stop
to
there
bring
for a
that up
second.
really
Put a
quick?
pin in that. I want to show
Yep,
you.
let's do that.
So you're referencing that, right? So the experience, the people who organized the experience,
yeah.
after that had happened, they sent out an announcement to the rest of their community, um, like giving them like a template of a
Oh,
report.
buzzwords. There it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then someone who I don't know who the someone was, but someone told them to include a bunch of buzzwords to make it to where the report is taken more seriously. So
Mm-hmm.
like clearly the report system is being abused, man.
Okay. And that's kind of why I wanted to jump on that because I don't know if CIG is aware of this, but if there's no repercussion, you're encouraging this, right? So it's going to get worse because it's going to continue spreading throughout the PVE community, and they're going to say all we have to do is A, B, and C. Use these buzzwords, blah blah blah, right?
It
Get enough
creates
reports.
Yeah, the
it
number
creates
of
like a sense of
the number of
entitlement
reports
almost.
shouldn't matter.
Yeah, and
That's the issue that I can
it's
see with that, yeah.
encouraging people to continue doing this, and what that does is it further floods their reporting system, and that's going to create more issues for CIG. Like something like this needs to be discouraged, and if there's evidence of it happening, and it's brought to CIG, there should be some repercussion for it. Same
Here's the
as
thing. Here's the thing, man. Like we're
anyone
talking
who
about how
moderates
this is wrong. To
anyone who
CIG, it's not.
moderates
Here, let me just fast
the
forward. Okay, I
game
got some more evidence for you. Give me one second.
personally should be
So,
fired. Let the system itself
where is
handle the
it?
players. And if
Right
your system
here.
isn't capable of handling the
Okay.
players, then that's on you.
So this is fast forward past the experience, past one of the this was after the one of y'all's episodes of Griefers Pub where you had Syl as a guest, and then
Oh, yeah, okay.
afterwards Xylo, Dracadius, and Will joined your community, and then they joined Griefernet's like sister community Cogum Discord,
Okay.
and then they talked with us for a bit, and we were asking them questions, and I blatantly asked them like, hey guys, is intentionally flooding your ticket queue for a single issue against the TOS. And as you can see out here outlined in red, I will. It is not against the TOS. Flooding the ticket queue is not against the TOS. So it just
Why
seems like
not?
this is.
I mean,
Yeah,
why not?
it is completely.
Yeah, I
Good
don't
question.
know.
I mean, is
feels
that
like
wrong? To think that
No, because
So I'm
purposely
gonna
abusing
unmute
the system is
Discord 'cause I
wrong.
can't
I was
use
going
right
to say
now.
it feels like an abuse of like
There we
a
go.
dedicated system that could be used for something else. In fact, I'm a little bit surprised that like CIG hasn't created like an integrated report system. Like we're still relying on what Spectrum at this point. I think that's an issue, right?
Well,
It doesn't make any
here's my
sense.
fear about an
Mhm.
embedded report system too. Like, what are they
Yeah.
gonna like? We want to cut down on manpower to deal with these reports, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to put an automated system in. That just
Okay.
sounds dystopic to me, to be honest. To put in an automated system, it's like after a certain threshold is met, and just automatic penalties are dished out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
So what could be done to prevent like mass reports?
I think
mean, it would have to
ideally,
be like part of like code of conduct at that point, right?
Well, I would think that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But again, how do you deal with
The answer's
like
quite simple.
a
Let the
situation
game
where
handle it.
you guys strike an event and then
the only thing that reports should
everybody
be used
maybe
for
there was stream sniping.
is
I don't know. That's one of
real-life
those weird
stuff,
things that's
right?
really hard to prove
in moderating
in like
Discord,
reports
that's
unless
all we
someone
really
is
moderate is real life
continuously
stuff.
like following someone on the server or
I don't
server
think it's that
hopping
hard
from,
to
like, 20
prove. I
50.
think like one of the things is that if the reports all follow a specific pattern and they all come in all at the same time, I think that's pretty obvious.
well, here
Right?
let me bite back on that a bit, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So
That's
here's what Xylo said in y'all's stream chat during that episode with Still.
I remember
I outlined, infiltration, and this isn't the first time they've said this to us. Infiltration is a viable playstyle. In fact, they have infiltration as one of the categories you can select as like something that you can label a new org when you create an org. It's like a
Yeah.
list of categories that you can select kind of label your org.
Yeah,
Infiltration
it
is
is.
one of them.
Yeah, and
Infiltration's
Okay, so
If y'all wanna-
is
perfectly
this on
acceptable.
the like Robert Space Industries like web pages? Is it
Yeah.
under
You know
like
what's
an
sad is
official
I don't-
document? Where would
I'm not that
that
kind of
be? That
person.
would be under the.
But
Is
I
that
It's when you're,
expect
it's
that
when
kind
you're
of
creating
gameplay.
your org.
Oh, you're talking
far
about the
as I know.
subsection, but they
Yeah,
should.
but here's the thing too: is they can't be like, oh, well, we mean infiltration. That's not through meta gaming because there's no internal like mechanics.
There's no systems to.
There's
actually
no
use that,
systems
right.
in the game, and the only way that you could possibly do any type of infiltration has to be through Discord because literally Discord
it's where the
drives
information
orgs
is.
and everything. Yeah.
That's where the information is, and that's going to remain true even if they do put in in-game systems, because people are not going to like, okay, they implemented org chat in game, let's stop using Discord. That's not how that's going to work.
It's not going to happen because it's not streamlined enough. It's not
Yeah.
integrated into like
No.
Moby glasses.
Yeah.
Even then, it's going to be clunky as hell. You know.
But yeah,
Yeah.
let me circle back around and tell you why I want to
Before
bite back
we
at
do
what
that,
you,
I just want to
sorry?
say I wish that something like this was posted on like one of the Spectrum pages from like an official mod, because I don't know if like say a Twitch message holds a lot of merit. That's the issue that I see with this.
Oh gosh.
It's in a weird spot that, you know, this is under someone's personal account on Twitch. So that doesn't necessarily mean that that is CIG's, you know, thoughts on the whole, like, you know,
I mean,
gameplay.
it's on their
is a viable
official
playstyle.
RSI site.
If we're talking about like the subsections for creating the orgs,
Yeah.
espionage. Oh yeah, you know what? Actually, I didn't see the espionage. I saw infiltration. I was thinking more like busting into ships and stuff like that. But it is.
I didn't see it.
How that's going to
Oh wait,
look
there it is.
when the
Right.
game is a little bit more like fleshed out. You know what I mean?
Well, and you have to
Yeah.
consider this too. Like, even when the game is more fleshed out, it's hard to pull people out of something they've used for so long in the creation of the game. Where if they go live,
And
people
that-
aren't
that
just going to
comment's
switch
correct.
over to
It's not a
whatever
personal account.
internal
That is a
programs they use
dedicated
for the game now,
account.
right? Because we're all accustomed to this whole Discord. Like, we have PFPs designed for the org through Discord, right? It's so you're not going to be able to just tear everybody away from Discord completely anyway, right? That people are going to
no,
continue
there's
doing
never
their
gonna be a
event
way to
planning
pull
through it and
people
stuff
away
like
from
that.
Discord.
So it's not as if
But
that would
in-game
suddenly
management would
change
be so much
overnight.
better.
Yeah, but like,
Okay.
so if you
Even
guys want to talk
online,
about reputation, I'm like,
there
oh
were
well,
out
you know,
of game
Griefer has a
management
reputation
systems. In
of
fact, Discord
stream sniping. We
was
have
one
a
of them.
reputation of infiltrating as well. You know,
Yeah.
like what?
Well, you have a reputation of pissing people off.
Does Griefernet
Well, that's just the result of
maybe my
PvPing
question
people
for
who
you.
don't want to be PvP'd.
But does
You know what I mean?
does Griefernet stream snipe as like a method of like tactic for like espionage?
For
how-
operations, no, there
for
have
operations?
been individuals who have stream sniped. Yes.
So how can we rely on that as like a viable playstyle if that's also against TOS? Because stream sniping has been listed under what that the excessive griefing post. It's not like the most. It's just as vague as everything else they posted, but it's more than, you know, a lot of things.
Yeah, I
I'll post
agree with
that
that.
there.
If
If an
somebody
official
talks,
CIG
if somebody, if
employee
they have
says
evidence
this
of
stuff
stream
is
sniping,
official,
like an
word
individual
from
stream
CIG.
sniping,
Yeah.
we
Mhm.
don't contest
Yep.
that at all. So
Yeah, I
like,
gotcha.
but in terms of infiltration and espionage, which is allowed, like
And it should
what
be.
happens
I mean,
what happens when you infiltrate? Let's talk about
Uh,
this for a second and how similar it can look like to stream sniping. Okay,
Mhm.
when you're infiltrating, you know where they're gonna be, what time it's gonna happen, what server, what like you know when they're you know the exact moment that they go onto the server. Okay, you know everything. You don't need to stream snipe. You don't need to leverage streams.
That's called using your brain, which
Yeah,
Griefernet
It's
does
called
beautifully.
yeah, exactly.
So it's like
Fucking
they're
A,
okay with
man.
infiltration.
How
but
did
they're
they
not
find
okay
out
with
about
the
it? Well,
results of
maybe they are
infiltration.
one of the people sitting at this table who can
well,
read that
I mean,
chat.
From what I can tell, I don't know.
Who knows?
From what I can tell, it's just not okay with you guys doing any pure.
Yeah, they're just like just stop it. Just stop.
I mean,
Just
they
stop
want
existing.
you
Just
guys
stop
to
existing.
The game is what
doing
they're
it.
they're
say.
telling
And
Esper and
you know what? I would be
and,
willing to bet that part of the reason why they're so
they're telling Griefernet to
they're
just backspace.
so tough on you guys is partially because of the flood of reports they're getting, and I think that problem comes from encouraging that through just. I mean, it's like, oh, it's okay that you guys are abusing that system, so it's making it worse, and they're blaming you for that. Now, yeah, I don't know. So I mean, I think that's
That seems,
part of the problem.
I mean, when you say that, does that not seem just so wrong? Like, oh, you're breaking the rules when people are complain about you enough.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's why the vagueness concerned all of us, because at some point, like I
Yep.
said, we're going to attack people or events or whatever's happening on server meshing, because
Exactly.
that's where there's something to do. And then on top of that, if more of the game is put together, what does that mean? You have a server with a ton of people in
You're
one
not gonna be able to
location.
escape.
We go in and hit them, and we have a ton of loot.
Oh,
and
we're
stuff
just
we
gonna
can
server
sell.
jump. Yeah,
Right?
that's not an option
so that's
anymore.
more encouraging. So who's to say we're not going to get mass reported when we don't do on our side, and a lot of PvP orgs, we don't do infiltration, we don't plan for event disruption, right? But are we just going to end up in the wrong place at the wrong time? And then is CIG going to be like, oh, mass reports, and where's the buzzwords? The buzzwords are there. We need to ban them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm concerned.
Ideally, they need to be more hands off.
I agree.
I don't actually disagree with
period.
that.
Yeah.
Coming from like other sandbox games, the less activity that the devs have involved, more or less, most of the time it's better. You want to keep gameplay as organic as possible.
Yeah.
When possible,
Stick
right?
your nose in. The point is to develop, not
beyond
to moderate.
the like cases of like
Stay in
say
your lane,
something
know
happening
your
in like global
job.
chat or someone spamming Griefernet victory
stick to
a
the
few
script.
100,000 times, right? Or you
Simply.
know, like basic things like hacking, glitching, you know, things that are game breaking, obviously.
Hmm.
But it makes you wonder.
Yeah.
What
we've
do you have
never
here?
we've never gotten a suspension. We've never got suspensions for spamming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, make sure when you yell Griefernet victory over global chats, not in all in caps, because that can be considered.
Yeah, it's very very hostile.
I think that's against terms of service, if I remember correctly. Using all caps to
It's very
blot out
offensive.
the
It offends
global
people.
chat.
Stop yelling
But I
at me.
mean, you see so many other groups do that. It's not just Griefernet that did it. It was it ITC a long time ago used to do that shit, like ITC victory. It was like a whole meme for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Well, they're bothered by it though too. Now they're bothered by the whole boasting and chat thing that we do. Look, Will says that he would rather us go into other people's discords to boast instead of just doing it in global chat. Like I don't know about you, but that seems a little bit more toxic than what we're doing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because you're
Yeah,
going
way more.
directly.
Not
to,
only
like,
not only did you
personal
find them in game,
area
not only
and
did you
specifically
get all the
I don't know.
information
targeting them
through
with
infiltration, but
Yeah, I don't
now
know about
you
that take
mass
there,
join
Will,
their
to be
Discord
honest.
and just shout Griefernet victory
before we
or
move on
Neighborhood
to,
Watch
like,
victory.
the mass reporting and
Oh
talking
man,
about
that's
that,
just
something
bad.
that I noticed with especially this title is there seems to be a lack of anonymity for players that are on certain servers. Every time you hop into the server, the first thing you can do is open up a MobiGlass, and your tools are all right there. There's no option to go like redacted or offline for your like character, and there's no way to like mask that. And I wonder if there, like, you know, there's other games. I'm thinking New World. I'm thinking of Tarkov that allow you to redact that information to prevent players from finding you. Do you think that would be potentially like a way to get around that?
Absolutely love more anonymity tools. Like we would love the member list to just be nuked and
Yeah, but it
only
doesn't-
people show up on the member list if
It doesn't.
if,
I think
under
that.
certain circumstances.
I think the reason why they don't necessarily do something like that is because they intend on us all pretty much being meshed together anyway. So that's like a temporary solution, but long term, we're supposed to be all together anyway, right? So right? I mean, why would CIG spend probably like 5 years in development trying to create anonymity tools for a mechanic that's not supposed to be there?
Well, let's take EVE Online into the mix then, because
Mhm.
they have like a local chat. Like we're gonna have multiple systems, right? So
Yeah,
like
that should be a thing.
people-
Yeah.
people are
That
like you
should be
can't
the-
view people in nullsec unless they talk. Same thing with wormhole
Right.
space.
Yeah.
You know,
Having like a segmented
used to be
chat
that
like
way,
that
by the
for
way.
servers when server
All
meshing is implemented is
nullsec
actually going to
space
be
used to
crucial.
have,
Otherwise, it's just going to be a wall of text
a
going,
communication
you know,
beacon.
at like mock Jesus the entire
yeah,
time.
100%.
And
so
you know,
if
people are
you were
going to figure
nullsec,
out
anyone in
where
nullsec
you're at
would
by
be shown.
listening to that chatter. If there was a way to localize it to even
then they
like
changed that
systems or like, you know, parts
more
of the star
anonymity.
system, like, you know, one for Microtech, one for area
Wormhole was
team.
the
Just
only
kind
one
of,
that
you know,
wouldn't
localize
show.
it like that. That might help. I don't know. Just trying to think of like some ideas instead of, you know, just getting stuck on it. But we were moving on to the mass reporting. Let's talk more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so the mass reports, why is it reasonable to give first-time offenders 30 days? Let's talk about that first. Let's
Yeah, what
talk
happened
about
the
that
1
for a
day, 2 day,
second.
1 week,
Okay.
1 month?
The Onzia incident.
Or
So
2
you're
weeks, 1
talking
month?
about the first time offenders in your org that got banned this time, and it's like their first time being a part of something like this.
Without
Well-
saying names, how many first time offenders actually were struck with the 30 days? Like a rough estimate.
I would say, shoot, I didn't really do a count on that. Maybe like between 15, like probably around 15 people.
So
Okay.
15 people. Okay.
Are they all
Damn.
okay? So just for, you know, keeping some kind of like order here, were they all listed as GrieferNet organization personnel, or was it multiple parties from like
No, we're part of we're part of an alliance. and not
alliance?
everybody-
Okay, that's what I was
Yeah.
wondering. Okay.
Can I just jump on? So one of the comments said there's an assumption that Enzia was a mass report event, but I can attest there was never any such call to mass report. Now, are we? I don't think anybody mentioned that
Hold
this
up your mouth, dog.
specifically was a mass report, though, right? I mean, we talked about
Yeah.
mass reporting.
I said it was a mass report
You
because
s-
they have
yep,
an
it's for
unlisted
head.
video that I have access to where they're sharing screenshots of all the people on the server and then saying, okay, gonna submit this for evidence.
I see. Okay. So it was.
Yeah, as far as
Okay.
I'm concerned, it was. Maybe
And then how-
maybe that individual wasn't aware of it.
And do we have a way of? Yeah, maybe they weren't. And do we have a way of knowing like how many or roughly how many would have been a part of that mass report?
I have no idea.
Every part.
I know one player
Yeah, anyone that they caught
individually
an image of the
who
name.
was responsible for compiling the quote unquote evidence. I don't
see.
know. I don't know if I want to just out him right here, but
No,
It-
don't do that. Don't do it. I don't
And what
think
was
that's necessary.
and what was the evidence? Like, what was it they were bringing as evidence? Was it evidence for
just our presence,
stream
just us-
sniping
just
or?
us being there. Just us being there was quote unquote evidence. They're like, oh, GrieferNet's here. Let's take a screenshot of the names, and then that's enough. That was enough for them to report.
Well, I mean, to be
But what were
honest,
they
GrieferNet
reporting
doesn't
specifically?
mobilize
Like,
unless
what was the
there's
report for?
filtration.
I don't know exactly what they put in their report.
Yeah.
But we got hit with basically everything under the sun. We got hit with stream sniping, harassment, and excessive griefing. That was what was on every single one of our bans.
No chat spam this time.
Well, what the hell
We've never
qualifies?
gotten
As,
attacked.
all right, what qualifies as excessive griefing? Because did
I
you
don't know.
guys
It's
I guess,
arbitrary.
I guess
multiple
one time.
times?
It's completely
No, I
arbitrary.
guess one
Excessive
time
griefing is
enough.
arbitrary.
One time is excessive because
Yep.
we've only hit Anzia.
Oh, he
once
shot me in the
ever,
foot. I
and
didn't
all we
die,
did
but
was
oh,
just
I was
sit at miners
griefed. I
lament
couldn't
and then
play
let
from
their
that point
security
on.
Come to us. That was all we did. And you can
I had to hobble
double
everywhere.
check that with any security that's in the chat right now. Not a single one of us went to Grimhex where you guys were stationed for most of the fight.
Okay, so you didn't go like spawn camp.
I love how they
basically, right,
they
if
had
you wanna-
security,
Nope,
but
we
they were
just stayed at
stationed at
Myers Lament,
Grimhex
let
and
them
did
come
not
to us.
leave.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm still curious.
Okay,
why
guys,
they
we want
didn't just
security. We
server
want you
hop
on the
and reform.
standby.
That would have been the
Um,
best solution there.
No, just stay at Grimhex away
Yeah,
from
they
our
were all-
resources
They
so
saw
we
you. That-
don't
They were
Let's
having
see
see
them
you.
the first
they were
move.
having some skill issue with communication. So
I mean, if you're conscripting multiple security orgs, there's your first issue. Just get
Yeah,
a
exactly.
large security like group that has a good amount of like personnel to actually cover security. Like a
Look,
good
I mean,
example.
at least
PAX
100
would be
more
a great
hits
one to
by
like get in touch with
GrieferNet
if you need
or
someone that
Neighborhood
Okay,
Watch,
hold on.
puts up a
and
good
they'll
fight.
finally
Just saying,
realize
just
Yeah.
saying.
Hold on,
how
hold
to
on, though.
communicate.
Get
Wait a
some like
minute.
proper PvPers
So-
if that's you know what I mean.
Can I make sure that we're clear on this? GrieferNet is a part of Neighborhood Watch.
yes,
Is it possible for them to hire Neighborhood Watch as security?
Oh God,
Is that
you can-
something?
I
that-
don't believe that's a service we.
GrieferNet doesn't
Ooh.
do security. We can do. You can pay us off to peace of mind.
Okay.
If you
It's
wanna
like-
run your
Attaboy.
event.
It's like mod
You know.
stuff. It's like protection.
But you can
Pay for protection.
you can
Honestly-
communicate
honestly-
with the other orgs that are part of Neighborhoods Watch, and they have their own internal policies about what they would do and what they wouldn't.
Okay, fair point. So the reason why I'm asking that, right, is because
said.
one thing that we've continuously emphasized, right,
I'm not sure the watch would
was
protect. The watch would
why
just not
are
show.
these people going to these random
We're gonna play
orgs that
fucking
call
Switzerland.
themselves security orgs that are basically just RPing
Take your money
as
and dip.
PvP security players or something? I don't know if their intention is to secure from PvE PCs that make show up red, but like, why have
Man, could you-
have we not
If
seen
everyone
once
just went
I
from
don't
paying
believe
the
once
security orgs to
any of them inquire about
to just
security
paying the
from a
watch to
PvP
not
org?
show up?
Like an
Do you
org
know
that
how dull our content would
specifically
get?
Oh, yeah.
PvPs, like exclusively.
See, I feel like that's what they would get
I'll
smart on.
shout
though,
out.
You know what I mean?
I'll shout out
Like,
one
if they
org that's
knew-
done it before, and that was Paladins.
Ooh.
Yeah.
They hired a AVS, and that was a nasty fight. That was a tough fight.
Okay,
So-
so would you say it was probably a lot better than what you've been seeing on these more recent ones?
Yeah, I think we haven't had a tough fight of that magnitude since then, and that was sometime last year.
So was it effective?
Yeah.
I mean, we still won our objective, but I would say it's a lot more
Also,
effective than
AWS doesn't pass
than what
report.
they're
than
doing
the
now.
fucking
Shocking,
Chance of
right?
Isaiah.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
'Cause
So-
I mean, that's okay. So it shows that there's some possibility to do that, right? Because from what
Look,
oh,
we're
go
kind of
ahead.
look. I don't want to get into the weeds about like how good a security team they look. I'm glad that they're hiring security in the first place. What my issue is that they're not. You're not. You're just submitting reports. These people are just submitting reports.
It's a security org.
You don't
They're
hire
not.
a
They're
group
not.
for
You guys
PvP
like they're not
and then
playing the
report
game.
after the fact.
They're not playing the
right?
game.
Exactly.
If you're hiring a PvP org, you should just accept the fact that if you didn't do your job properly as a security org, you don't report. You just say good fight and move, the hell on at that point. That's honestly the move. Just
Yeah,
play the
it's-
damn
I
game.
think it's wrong. It's wrong what these communities are doing, making people lose access to the game just because we're just playing the game. We're just PvPing. Is this like to CIG? Is this a sandbox game or isn't it?
All right, okay, I have another question. If you were to go there, mess with the event, right? It breaks up the event, and then they reset and start the event over. Would you show up again?
Our tip, no, we don't.
Or
Once we achieve
objectives complete.
once we achieve objective complete, then we just that's it for the night.
Okay, if
Okay.
that's the case, the experience, you had a completed objective the first time, why strike it a second time?
Because it was a separate event 2 weeks later.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Just
so if
just
it's-
wondering if it was
Bro,
like
don't play
the same
semantics
group.
here.
doing the
Right?
same
Seriously,
thing
why would you
again,
hit
or
it a
if
second
was
time?
It was the
Completely
same
separate?
org.
Because they attempted to do
Okay,
Same
it.
gotcha.
people, same stupidity,
like,
same
like type
ignorance.
of
Fuck it,
event
why not?
again, but
Let's
it
have some
was
fun.
like different like players who like there was a they had different passengers.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Exactly.
So it's
It's
not
a
quite the
different
same
experience.
It's
It's a
one
whole
had
different
torque, and
experience.
how
Well,
did
it's
other
kind
one
of the
die?
same experience, just
Sort of
different
same
people.
way.
Oh, never mind then. Okay.
Both torps. Yeah, one was a little bit better fired at minimum lock range. The other one was fucking 12 kilometers away. One of my
I've
guys
got
just
expat actually saying
premature
no, they didn't.
premature torped.
Same passengers is what I'm reading in chat. Are you sure about that?
I'm sure there
I'm
was
just-
some overlap.
Okay.
I'm sure. I
just
don't know
curious.
I don't know the entire roster list.
Yeah, I mean, when I meant like mission accomplished and they
Mhm.
come back together,
as
I
in, like,
mean
the
within the
day of, the
same,
day of,
yeah, like
the day
they
of. Gotcha.
continue their
Okay.
event. All right, because that's what I would assume, right? Now I know, obviously, like if I was creating an event and somebody came and stomped on it, yeah, I'd be pissed, right? I'd be pissed about the fact that somebody destroyed my event, and I'd also be pissed that I failed to stop it from getting destroyed, right? But I would pick up the pieces and continue again. Now, if you were to
The question
continuously
is, how do I do
over
better
and
next
over
time?
again keep
Yeah.
My bad.
attacking that, right? That would be, I would consider excessive griefing, right? Because now it's like you're just completely preventing them from doing it like, over
within
and
the
over and
same
over again.
session, right? In the
Yeah,
same session.
and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's
Yeah.
why I asked that, because
We're
it's
in
like,
agreement with that.
yeah. So and then let's say in the situation that you have not fight or flight. What's the I'm sorry, the
Any more rally?
Daemon Rally. Yes. Okay. So they have multiple servers that they're multiple servers they're on. Would you
Yeah,
go?
goodness.
Let's say, would you destroy one
Back in
server,
the tree, first
jump to
squadron
another
what?
server, and then destroy
Never submitted
their
any
event on that
reports
server as
of
well,
any
or would
Griffnet
it be
players furthermore?
accomplished upon infiltrate or stopping that event on that server.
First squad.
That's a
Who
little
said
different,
that?
I feel like, because on every server there's entirely two different pools of players.
Spec snipers on here.
Okay. Now, would you feel that that could be classified as griefing, excessive griefing? Because if you end up on a separate
just an
server
aspect.
and then you go after the event again, you are specifically targeting that event multiple times, even if it's separate servers.
I mean, golly, man. I mean, they occupy 10
Hey.
servers.
Yeah, I
Like,
know, I get it,
It would have
but
been hard to avoid it anyway. So if we were to like, are we just like the whole
Are you
concept of
trying to avoid?
like killing someone once and then that's it, you can't kill them anymore.
yeah,
know,
I mean,
in
I'm
a
not
PvP
saying this
sandbox
should be
game.
like that, but I get like
Exactly. Oh, I've already
I mean,
PvP'd
I'm
you.
not-
I can't.
yeah,
I can't
alright,
PvP you
so
anymore.
if I'm
Goodbye.
out in the you
Yeah.
know, in the verse and I run into the same person twice, obviously, and I'm killing them, I'm not gonna stop killing them. Hell, I already killed you once, so I'm just gonna leave you alone this time.
Yeah, nobody
but I
blinks
feel like
twice
this
when the
concept's
same
different.
when you find the same person 3 times in the same session and kill them all 3 times. No one blinks twice about that. But then all of a sudden people throw a big deal about killing killing one group 1 week and then killing them again 2 weeks later. Doesn't make any
That's
sense.
yeah,
to me.
but I feel like I mean I agree that's different. All right, I mean it's two separate occurrences. Personally, I feel.
Look at this guy. I'm not afraid to say it. I would repeatedly raid players
I
in
don't know.
Rust.
I mean,
See, but that's what Rust is built on.
In the case of Daymar Rally, I don't think it would be. In my eyes, would
It's
be
also a different
excessive
game.
griefing.
But hold on, what do you say about Star Citizen?
Servers that were to like
Game
an
has
entirely
more
different
players.
player pool.
yeah.
But
In Star Citizen.
the
that's not
thing
what
is-
happened though. Like we
Yeah.
just hit
Could
one
ever
server.
dream
That
of.
was it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the thing is too, I mean, still, I kind of like jumping back on the fact that it's going at some point, hopefully soon, meshing is supposed to be a thing anyway, and there's
Yeah.
no longer they're no longer going to be able to say, oh, well, you jumped servers to follow these people around. No, because from my understanding, part of the mechanics that they want is that we can track down people for whatever reason, and attack them. I mean, that's like an open mechanic, and I understand the whole in-game mechanics and all this stuff, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, whatever. It's there's just a whole lot of gray. It's like I think really what it really comes down to with you guys, though, personally, is really just reputation. Like you guys have been, as Griefernet, you guys have been pissing people off for a long time.
How long has Griefernet been an org?
I want to say.
I think it's been a long
4 years
time.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's only since this January has it become a big problem.
Okay. In previous years, did you guys ever experience like mass ban waves or anything like that, or is it just
No.
recently
No.
this is like a new trend?
Yeah. And last year we had the same sort of like volume of event crashes as we do this year.
Okay.
So, in terms of like how many per week we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
just
agree.
want to read this highlight.
The experience was
experience
mismanaged
Yeah.
to the extreme.
mismanaged to an extreme. They allowed a person to get on board the ship and took no steps to remove that person from the ship before leaving without some of their passengers, and allowing the ship to get torped. I mean, that was mismanaged. That was pretty bad. A torp moves
So
slow.
is that the one time that the C8R was on the side of the
Yeah, that was it.
890? So
That was us.
that's also a game issue, because that is the 890 unable to lock. That's a bug. It's not supposed to be like that for the docking ports. Same thing with like the reclaimers.
Doesn't matter where
Anybody
it's
can
or
access
not.
that
There's a
top
ledge there.
lock?
You can stand there.
You can't
You
lock
can
those
punch
doors.
the door open.
Oh, the door. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Those doors, like, that is an exploitable thing on that ship, and a few other ships are like that actually. So any board, like, they unlock the whole ship. No, what I'm saying is I have done the same thing multiple times. Like, popped into an 890, ran down the side of, like, you know, any spaceport. It was locked, and then you can just gain access. There is no lock for those systems.
Yeah.
They
But
need
there
to fix
wasn't any
that.
sort of like weird fishy thing you had to do. All you had
No,
to do
no,
was
no.
just
Of course not.
go back and
That's just how
interact with
the
door.
it's
the
given
ship
full
is at the
access.
moment,
It's
right?
interactable.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's an exploit,
That's a
but it
CIG
is
issue.
one of the problems that led up to that, you know, situation.
Yeah, it's squarely in the court of CIG's responsibility to address stuff
Right, of
like
course.
that.
Yeah.
You know.
So it is, they really just need to get their, like, that's one of the challenges that I'm sure they face with trying to maintain, you know, rules in like an ever-changing environment, and it's super unpolished. Not everything's gold standard, I know that, And I'm not saying it is GriefNet's fault by any means. It's just that is a CIG issue. They need to fix their shit.
And that's the thing too. Like,
Let's go
it's
frag.
CIG's issue. Like, the amount of damage a torpedo does, it's CIG's issue. The amount of devastation that an A2 can incur, that's a CIG issue. Why is that a player problem? In fact, let me go forward a bit.
Is it exploiting a bug though if someone knows that the door is unlocked and uses that opportunity to gain access to a ship? That's what I'm wondering.
That's a stretch in my eyes, man.
Bit
I mean,
of a stretch, okay.
I gotta say,
don't know.
honestly,
Look,
that
I
door's been
definitely-
broken
I
for more than
definitely
2
do agree
patches.
that
That's a
CIG's
feature.
issue, like,
That's
a
not
lot
an
of this
exploit
is
anymore.
because
That is a known bug, or that is a known
it's not.
feature.
I mean, I'm sorry, but it's
If
not
they're not gonna
our
fix it
fault
after
that it's
knowing
been
2
12
patches.
years and none of these systems are in place to prevent
Yeah,
any
exactly.
of this.
See right there.
And that we're still working on things like a box sitting in the middle of wherever on Daymar for the next 30 years for persistence sake. Right? I mean, not to be super critical, but like,
You know
where are we at here? Like, you guys have had ample amount of time to set up some of these damn systems. Where they at? Like, what's going on? Right?
Yeah,
Because
let me-
a lot of us are
let me
waiting
say-
to play the damn game.
let
Like,
me
come
say
on.
let me say this for a second, okay? Look at
Mhm.
where Xylo says in his response to Sill's post. They have issues where they weigh how many like, if you bring too many A2s, it could potentially be bannable.
What?
How are we supposed to make a sound judgment when you don't like specify anything? Like, what do you mean? How many?
If you
like,
bring too
how
many
A2s does it take
the
for
fuck?
something to be quote unquote disruptive to the point that you issue out suspensions? It's crazy to me, man.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
where's the systems? Like, like, I don't know. I mean,
And
it's
they're constantly saying, "Oh, we encourage PvP solutions
not
to
a
an in-game
sandbox.
conflict."
The
We
moment you start
we
putting
support
limitations on
organic
gameplay,
PvP.
that
we
is
don't
not a
want to
sandbox.
police PvP.
You were
But
trying
when
to
Reefernet shows up to crash
navigate
to PvP
the
these
players,
events, suddenly it's a
direct
problem.
them
Like,
linearly.
look, here's my conversation with Xylo. Okay, he repeats everything that he's saying in that post to the point until it's like, listen, if it was me, just reach out to these communities and pretty much just ask permission. Ask permission before you do that. That way,
Can I raid
there's
you?
not a problem. That's not an open world PvP sandbox.
yeah. I hate to. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah, that's all good.
it looks like one of the mods banned or locked out Shankers, who was gifting us subs. So can we reverse that? Why would that be a thing? So can we please reverse that? Shankers has been nothing but supportive. Like, he should not be
Yeah, I don't know what's going on
rejected
there.
from
Let
the
me double
chat.
check.
Yeah, like, what's
Okay.
that about? What
We're
the
here
hell?
talking about moderation issues with CIG. and
I
it's
know,
not
right?
really-
We don't, and honestly,
Sorry,
with
one
our
sec.
chat,
That's not
like,
bad.
hey, we take criticism here. I don't even know why that's happening. Like, yeah, free Shankers. Like, moderation is definitely not my thing, except for copy pastas, because I hate those damn things.
Okay, so it shows that he isn't banned. I don't know what's going on.
Well,
there.
he's saying
But-
that it just says he's disconnected from chat and he can't reply at all. So, yeah. I
See if
don't-
he has the same issue on mobile, and
Freedom
then
of speech.
report
Elder
back.
Musk. All right. Well, all right. If that's not, maybe it's.
I
it could be
already,
on his end.
yeah, I would just refresh because I did check the ban list. He's not on there. There's no
Okay.
reason it should have happened.
Okay, weird.
All right.
Anyways, back
Sorry
on
to
the subject.
interrupt.
Sorry. Yeah, no,
Ban
it's all
that
good.
guy,
It's all good.
Trump
I forgot what I was going
2024.
to say. I had something.
Don't tread on me. Sorry. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
done.
no, I was talking about how Xylo wants us to reach out to people and like ask permission. Like, that's not an open world PvP sandbox. Why do I need to go out and ask somebody if I want to PvP their event
Yeah,
or
no,
not?
not at all. And honestly, all of their okay, anytime I get an ad, it will show like cargo runners and then war, right? And people
Guns.
fighting
Like, that's
for
an
cargo.
expectation.
Like, yeah, it's like you go into that game expecting a fight, and then the other argument I had
Literally
too.
have cinematics of pirates coming up to
Yeah.
fuck up an 890. You know, like
Yeah. And if they want you to literally like have a reason other than just disrupting an event, make there a working economy where you can actually like you actually need to make money, right? I mean, because right now the economy don't work. So like, how can you be
It's 'cause
like, oh,
it's
you
not
need to be
player-driven.
pirating for what? For what? Like, what do I
Well,
need
also-
money for?
Well, I'll bite back on that a little bit. It's like, why do we need a digital MacGuffin to do anything in the game? Like, isn't just have just doesn't we do it for fun? Is that not enough?
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
it's not. Not for everybody. There's different mindsets. There's different people that want to earn money. You know, Bob's a good example where they want to.
I know, but in terms of like violating
Yeah, I
the
know what you mean.
TOS, though, is what I'm saying.
Right.
You know?
So here was something that I was
I
kind of
want
curious
war.
about. Let me see if I can figure out my thoughts here. Just go ahead and say what you're saying, though. Forgot what I was going to say.
Okay.
Yep.
Shoot.
Can I just jump on that? Just so you guys know, anybody who's new here, Griefa's Pub isn't a subsidiary of Griefanet or anything. We're actually a separate entity. All right, just to throw it out
What I
there.
should do is
So,
I should get like a little name tag for you that says, hello, my name is Fur. Just so we can keep that going, because right now we've got
need,
Chris
like,
Roberts, we've got Jake Acapella.
we
We've
need
got
like
Burks, everybody,
yeah,
you know,
but we need like a
everyone's Griefanet,
disclaimer
apparently.
when somebody comes into the chat or whatever that says
You guys
this
kind of
is
shot
not.
yourself in the foot by naming it Griefer's Pub, guys.
Yeah,
Right,
well, I
they
mean,
did.
Where's my
because
royalty
we've had
check?
people, we've had people come in and
Where's
be
my
like, "Is this part of
royalty check?"
Griefernet?" And we're like, "No, we're not at all. It's just the joke is you're a PvPer, you're considered a griefer amongst many." And it's funny too because by the way, what's his name? Z was posting this on Reddit, and they just constantly removed his post and downvoted the shit out of it. So it just like Reddit, like Griefer's Pub, no, get it out of here.
That
All right,
isn't
anyway.
just like from those posts. I mean, I feel like that's most PvP related topics.
It
that
is, yeah.
get posted that are like, you know, negative.
They don't like it,
by,
yeah.
You know,
All
yep,
PvPers are
exactly.
Fur.
I don't like
Yeah.
it. It's the
So
same thing with
flexible.
one of the Facebook. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So here's a common here's a common through line through CIG when talking about moderation. It's very much, to me, it seems like it's very much about short-term like marketing optics. They didn't like the fact they were using the 890 jump as like a grassroots marketing thing. They didn't like the fact that it didn't go exactly the way they wanted it to go, you know.
That's a great thing about an open world sandbox.
Anything like
Anything,
it says
period,
right
can
here,
happen to you
Xylo,
at
it's like
any
you're being
time if
targeted
you are outside of a
because
hangar.
the events that you're hitting are being broadcasted, just tend to be broadcasted. And let me comment on that a little bit. I don't think CIG understands how prevalent streamers are in modern gaming right now. It's crazy. Look, we're a
Yeah.
large group. We're a large group. So when I'm scheduling events for my community, I'm targeting things that have either like an equitable or slightly more like predicted turnout on the other end, because I'm not going to drop 30 dudes on like 5 goobers in their mold just having like a mining Monday. It's a waste of our time, you know.
Mining Monday, is that a thing?
It will be
That
now.
is-
I'll make it a thing.
But no,
It
we're
is
not
actually a
doing
thing.
that. We're going after these as large events as we can, and those large events, for whatever reason, for spectacle, for just people, there's more people that are talking about it, and it spreads throughout the communities, and streamers like, oh, I want to participate. This is gonna be fun and boost my viewership maybe, and it's gonna be an entertaining piece of content for me to stream. And so like disproportionately, these large events just tend to have streamers. That's just the reality of the situation. And it's like
So I
it's
do
not
have a
fair to
question, though,
us that
here
any
that
PvP that
someone's-
we want to do at the appropriate scale that makes sense for our community is being targeted because someone turned on a camera.
What about charity events? I know that you guys struck what is it called? Save the animals. Do you guys not like pets, or like what is
Bro.
exactly up
We're
with
more
Griefernet on that end?
we're a bit more like cat people. We like cats a little bit more than dogs.
Okay, but why strike
You know
out
how
charity event?
ironic that is, you
It feels,
guys
it
have a
feels
bunch
kind of
of
strange.
dog-
I know. I've
Yeah.
seen
No,
like
we changed.
Disc,
Our,
like
our
post his
motif
dog.
is orcs now, guys.
Oh yeah, I saw that actually. Yeah, I was like, "What the hell's
What's that?
going on over there?" They don't.
Yeah, I
You
saw
guys
that.
don't use PFP borders. You just match up each other's PFPs with the same general
Yeah.
like theme.
Like theme, yeah. Yeah. Look, like I know people are gonna get a little when they hear about us hitting a charity event.
What was the point?
This
though?
is a
Like,
video game.
I'm
Like,
curious.
this isn't a platform for a charity. I don't really feel that bad about it.
Okay.
Okay,
But
yeah.
like, what was the benefit for? Did you guys have any like purpose behind that, or was it just?
It was just a
because
large event. It
shits
was
and giggles?
content. It was a large event, and it made sense, and it lined up with our schedule. And
I mean, to be
content.
honest, I think I think Griefanet is probably having more fun than anybody else in this freaking game right now. Because, like,
Yep.
honestly, most of us are all bored to death.
100%.
People play.
100%.
We're having the most fun at everybody, bro. And I dare anyone to tell me differently, bro.
The game isn't fun right now.
And
Yeah,
I wish
if
CIG
you guys
would
wanna-
see that.
Yeah, if you guys want to encourage CIG, I'm talking to you. If you want to encourage people to be doing more things, give us things to do and make it work, please. I'm
The
sorry,
best content-
I'm super salty.
Actually,
The
The
Yeah,
best
it's
kind of
content
that is
is
an
content
interesting take.
generated
Do you guys
from
do what you do
player
because
to player.
There isn't a whole lot going on in
Yep.
the verse right now.
We're just lovers of
Or-
emergent content. We're lovers of it.
Okay.
We don't like to set up play dates. It kills the fun for us. We don't.
So-
we
so
want-
the whole thing with like setting up play dates feels inorganic. I don't like that. But I also like personal take joining on multiple servers to get onto the same server also feels kind of inorganic. That's a personal take. I like organic PvP when it happens and if it happens. But with starts, it's a little tough to even find action sometimes because nobody knows where anybody's at.
Yeah.
There's not enough players on like server. We're capped still at what 100 like players per server.
110
So
sometimes.
it's hard to get that
depending on the server.
activity in the first place.
Yeah, like
and there's
people
like
are
no
mad
tools
about.
for us to find. There's no like you said, no tools for us to find players. Like we're just sitting there with just kind of waiting for stuff to appear, like for someone to appear.
I
for
mean,
us to
that's why
PvP.
in EVE Online we had roaming
well,
fleets.
like the
They would
fact
literally
that,
go
like, for
around to
example, people
find
get
that
mad
trouble.
about like us attacking events, right? Because there's nowhere. We are not going to run into anybody anywhere else. Like we have nowhere to go, right? We had I'm sorry, what's his name now? Virgil came on as a call in. He mentioned about having one whole system specifically with nothing other than just like the PvP orgs can be in there. It's dangerous. Do you realize how busy we would be just fighting each other and trying to get like. You want to keep us busy.
That's a retarded thing.
We would much rather fight
Yeah.
more challenge. I mean, I'm not talking for grief in that because the consensus is you guys are a bunch of assholes.
Okay, no, wait. Now hold on a second. Now, hold on a second, guys. Look, we attack events that
Yeah.
are hittable. Okay, y'all, the PvP orcs don't really do the sorts of events that we can like show up uninvited and hit y'all all at one time. You know what I mean?
I challenge you. Do it.
That's kind of why it's
All
skewed that
PvP
way as to
orgs
why we're hitting these quote unquote
make an event that we can
non-PvP
hit.
orgs more often than not.
Damn straight.
Because those are the
Okay.
types of orgs that do the events that are hittable.
Before we
Well, yeah,
keep
and the other
talking,
thing is if
we're
we
gonna
would've-
take a short break,
Could you
guys,
imagine
because
if
we do
like
have an
Group
ad that we
42
should
was
run real
like,
quick at
yeah,
the
we're
top
gonna
of the
have
hour. I just don't
a
want people
mining
missing
event,
any of the
guys.
discussion,
Everyone
so
come
let's go to
down and
standby
mine
real
in
quick.
your
Do you wanna push an ad?
sabers.
Cut you off there. Yeah, let's do
Huh?
that. And let's go to standby.
God
really
damn.
quick.
All right.
So yeah, everything has been talked about up to this point. Like, all right, our org is an org that is very well rounded. We have combat pilots, we have logistics pilots, we have industrial pilots. People go out and mine and refine the stuff. We have people who want to eventually build. We have people who like just doing PvE stuff. So we have a little bit of everything in our org.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you that I do not want a plain Jane boring server where I am forced to do what they tell me to do. I want a sandbox. A true, unhinged sandbox. And what that means to me, what a true unhinged sandbox means to me is my light's having some troubles. A true unhinged sandbox is the devs build the rules of the world. Okay, here's the world. Boom. That's the world. The rules for that world say X, Y, and Z. I'm allowed to do whatever I want so long as it does not violate X, Y, or Z.
Yep.
Okay? If I can think of a way to make something happen that bypasses these rules, it happens. That is a sandbox. If I find little Timmy over there playing in the dirt while I'm also playing in the dirt, I want to go over there and I want to take his mole bags. I'm going to take my mole lasers, I'm going to burn his mole to the ground, and I'm going to call my friends to come and grab and tractor those mole bags out and take them somewhere to be processed. That just saved me a bunch of time, because little Timmy did it for me. Sandbox. I just used a mole for a combat situation it was never built for.
Sandbox.
Sandbox. No PV. River Grit, no PvE in Pyro.
Attaboy. That's right.
Attention, the leader of Mongol Scraw is proud to announce his acceptance to OnlyFans. Please subscribe. What the fuck? Oh, that's from Ginger.
Nice. Guys, that was up. Wait, hold up. What's up?
Pyro will get a PvP only slider. PvP just to be. These comments are good. These comments are great. But yeah, no, a sandbox. Okay. Just.
Okay.
It's
Welcome
not
back,
hard.
guys. We are gonna shuffle back over to that media panel, if we could. Elder, there was something that we were gonna discuss just before we kind of shuffle over to the next topic here. So you were talking about event setup times, right, Sfer? Can we cover that really quick?
Another thing that I found to be a theme with our communications with CIG is that one of the reasons that they are very sensitive about these large events being hit is because they're saying to us, oh, these events take a quote unquote long time to organize. And so therefore that those events being able to go off without a hitch is a higher priority than our entitlement to participating in the open world PvP sandbox element of the game. And I just want to ask this to CIG. CIG, do you not think that there's any level of preparation or readiness or any level of organization that goes on with the criminal element of the game? You think we just like hop on and just like, oh, look, let's do this, guys, with no plan? And like, let me also say this, like, I have a screenshot. We don't really need to show it, but it's in the beginning of the PowerPoint. But it's the experienced guys. They emailed CIG and was just saying like, oh, it took us 8 months to organize this event. 8
How
months.
does it take 8
Oh,
months to
really?
organize
That's
that
because
shit?
of like IRL circumstances. Maybe not everybody on their team was available. Makes you wonder.
It didn't
That's
take
not
every
organized.
second of those 8 months, guys. Let's be real, okay?
I mean, it shouldn't.
Yeah. What happened was they had the idea 8 months ago, and then in total they probably spent maybe like, being generous, 8 hours of preparation. Being very generous. Okay. Let me put this in perspective too. Okay. Okay. Let me back. CIG. There is also a skill differential in terms of one group can spend their time more effectively than another group. There is such a concept as one group being organized than another. As to why you guys are valuing how long it takes an event when you're weighing when to put out suspensions is beyond me. Here's an example. Our band waves just went out like 2 days ago. 30 minutes before when our next operation was supposed to go off. Okay? We had already prepped for the op. Like we had all our ships claimed, ready to go at our muster point. We had all our gear stocked in fucking SU crates that was even more of a pain thanks to y'all's new inventory system with 324. Okay?
I'm
And
looking
we
at
had to
something here.
redo all that. We had to redo all that on alts. And we still, and even after bugs and like 30,009 errors, we had so many of those. Our Cutlass Red or our respawn point, and I got crashed the desktop. I had to claim the ship that already had the SCU on there after restocking with gear that we lost already. Like that was, and then it was gone again, so we had nothing, and we still managed to hit our target and finish our objective on time.
Looking at a comment here, experience had recorded voice. Hang on, sorry, voiceovers and time music for each place they would visit and planet. So it looks like they were trying to put some kind of production value behind it, whether it be like a forced script or whatever it might have been. I don't know. But maybe that's what was taking all the time. Again, there's probably a lot more going on behind the scenes than we actually know. Like, I'm thinking event
Yeah, but that's a template.
preparation,
You build a
one that
template
comes to
once and
mind
it's done.
was when we were doing like the
Yeah.
5v5 tournaments and how much work that kind of took. It took a few weeks though, because we were pretty coordinated. So to some extent, it kind of feels like it's bad management and lack of, you know, resources. I don't know what that would be.
But we're
Makes you
also
wonder.
you're setting the precedent that if something takes like enough time to prep, it's just, well, you're immune to the PvP element of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly shouldn't be like that.
That shouldn't be the
I
case.
mean,
That shouldn't be the case at all. It
Yeah.
should be like one MMO that comes to mind where PvP is always going to be around, aside from like the starter like
EVE Online.
area, would be like Mortal Online 2, where everything is like open world.
Wow.
And if you're
You
like a
went that
trader,
way.
you could
Okay,
get killed
yep.
any second.
Yep, 100%.
So I personally,
Played that
I like environments like that where anything can go wrong. EVE Online is
Yeah.
a really good example as well.
yes,
You know,
Yeah.
100%
I'd rather have
EVE Online.
organic settings like that as opposed to. I don't mind the systems that we have where it's in spaceports and on planets, but everywhere else should be fair game.
hold on.
As soon as
no-
you're out of that hangar, you know, it's like good luck. That's how it should be.
So expat, no, not immune at all, but is what they are doing is organic. I mean, you can't. I'm sorry, I don't really. You can't have that take because infiltration again. I mean, what infiltration has to be organic? That doesn't really make sense to me. Like, I don't see something wrong about planning to. I understand why people will be upset by it. Again, it's not my style of gameplay specifically, but I
The
certainly.
issue is the lack of infiltration and espionage gameplay mechanics to allow proper
Yeah,
systems to
I mean,
exist in game. You know,
What other reason is there
we're kind
to
of like, you know,
infiltrate?
going around into that again, but
Yeah.
that's you
Well,
can't
what
stop
other reason
many.
is there to do any infiltration to
how it
begin
is.
with other than this? I mean, there's no resources, there's no nothing.
guys?
Reputation doesn't mean anything, there's no economy. Like, the game is seriously lacking.
Yeah, expat. What you're saying is that you're like people aren't allowed to like basically plan. Like you're not PvPers aren't allowed to plan something. It has to be the only way in your eyes that would have been
So I
an
muted
allowed
Discord for just a
situation
second.
is if we just happened upon
But
the
if
890
you're in
by
here,
chance and then just
make sure your
quickly
comments are
Okay.
geared
try to
towards
board it.
reacting to
Can
the stream.
I
know?
ask you this? Spur.
Unmuting
So,
Discord.
first of all, is it S fur or fur?
It's S capital fur to you.
Okay, S fur. So let me ask you this. Okay, so if there is actual economy and supply chains that are necessary now, let's say GrieferNet has a base or a need for keeping up with, I don't know, whatever, money or supplies for whatever reason, and you know, I don't know, PAX is building their base and they need supplies for it. Now, would you start shifting some of your planning around infiltrating to find out where the supply chain is and ruining that, or you know, infiltrating that and getting those, or ruining the supply chain? Like, would you shift towards doing those things also, or are you,
Or like
or
base
is there-
rating could be a
100%.
thing too.
That's the whole reason I helped found Neighborhood Watch.
Oh, okay. So
That's the whole reason. Yeah.
I'm
is
sorry.
to-
I
is
would-
to- let me hold on. Let me just
Yeah.
finish this one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the whole reason
What's
I
up?
found Neighborhoods Watch is to like, I'm hoping one day that we live in an environment where we can kind of cut out our own slice of sovereignty, and then all the logistics and management that go along with that. You know what I mean?
So that, I mean, that's so
That freaking
that, I mean, everybody who's watching,
spam chat.
CIG, I'm sure you're in there somewhere. Think about that. So part of the problem that you're having here is not just that they're the big bad guys, right? And it's part of the reason is because what else is there to do? I mean, because that would add, I'm waiting for that. I want to strategize around being able to disrupt supply chains, steal people's supply, and add it to ours and build our base using their stuff. I want to do all that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's part of the problem, is that this is literally like the only content that they may have.
There's
'cause
no
they don't-
end game
yeah,
content is the issue.
it's part of the problem. I mean,
There's,
that's
there's nothing to really like. hone in on for like focus, I think settlements would be a big part of it, but it's not going to be enough. That's still relying on
No,
just like items
they're
and like
focusing way
economy
too
alone.
much on the PvE
Yeah, so I
aspects
feel
and
like
not so much the
CIG is
PvP
like
aspects.
mad
And they
and
really
everyone's
need to
blaming
focus
you
on
guys,
that
but I feel
PvP
like
stuff.
CIG is mostly to blame, honestly.
Yeah.
I hate to say it,
Yeah.
but I feel like this is on you guys more than anything.
I think if I were to predict a response from them, it would be something they've already told us. It's like, listen, listen, we're only
Because they're
this
broken
hard on
records.
you because we don't have the systems in place to mitigate what you're doing in a way that we like. Right? That's that would be what I would predict their retort would be to all of this. But I would then but my response to that would be like, well, you got to give us something to work with then. Okay, it's not
My
tenable
response
to
would
just
be
be
put
like,
them
hey,
in place
GrieferNet,
then.
just stop everything you're
kicking
doing. Okay.
the Peregrine, guys.
guys, like,
the
like,
Peregrine.
look, this is one
Why
of
did you develop the
Chicadius's
fucking
replies to me
Peregrine
when I'm trying
instead
to
of
ask,
putting work into
when I'm
building
trying to, like, get
a crime and
clarification
punishment
on, like,
system?
listen, like, what's a compromise? Give us something
Peregrine's
to
a
work
piece of
with. He's
shit,
like,
by the
listen, an
way.
event, the size of an event, we don't weigh that.
Oh shit.
If it's sponsored or approved,
You
we
put
don't weigh
weapons
that.
on
That
that
has
thing,
nothing
I
to do
might
with whether
fly
or
it.
not an event
No
disruption,
weapons, not
event
touching that
disruption
shit.
has occurred. Then what?
Yeah, pretty much.
What is like what makes it?
GrieferNet is a better
What-
Ninetales.
when does it become PvPing an event?
Damn straight.
Disrupting an event? Is it when we don't ask for permission? Is it when it's unconsensual? Tell us that. Is that what it is? Do we need to ask permission first every single time? Tell us
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
know?
I think honestly the best solution is for CIG to make progress, and I mean,
Almost spilled my food.
like I get
About
everything you're
the
saying,
large
but
scale
like
servers.
make some progress, guys.
But like, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Can
But
we
in the
ask
interim,
Isra to address
where they're
the
not happy with the systems that they have implemented,
situation?
they need to tell us this stuff so we
they
aren't
say?
Yeah.
risking our accounts every time we do emergent PvP.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel that we and other PvP communities, especially when meshing happens, has a legitimate reason to be
Organic
concerned
content. but-
because GrieferNet is not
Interesting.
going to be the only org they're going to mass report when you ruin something. So if I happen to ruin something, I'm sure that they're gonna be like, oh, let's report these guys, right? Let's like
Fuck
this
them.
guy ruined.
I don't know
what
who it
we
is,
put
but
together.
report them.
Even though I'm just randomly coming across it. Like I think it's we have a legitimate reason to be concerned in general. Like when you have this
I think it
vagueness,
makes sense, yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
it's I mean, come on.
I can think of some circumstances when I got a DM about when I was on the same stream like server as like a streamer and got a DM from a buddy saying, hey, he's complaining to me about you being on there. It's because I had one of his friends on the list. We're not going to say names, obviously, but he was like, no, it's organic.
Eventually,
You
friends
joined
lists
on
aren't
me.
gonna matter.
You had a bounty. He
Server
went after your
jumping
bounty. He
isn't gonna
wiped your
matter.
guys, and that's
It's all
the
gonna
end
be
of it.
one
You know, that's how it
universe.
should be.
One big universe,
I
one
see
big
people
sandbox,
talking about
guys.
the
You
Airbnb,
cannot
like,
escape from
moment too,
jumping
and
server
that's
to
something that
server.
kinda comes to
You
mind
cannot
too,
escape a friends
we
list
can
because
cover
there is
that if you want to.
even if you have a friends list,
We
it
can
doesn't
cover that. I
matter.
have no issues covering
It's all the
that.
same
Yeah,
server.
let's go back
They're
to
gonna
that
show
one,
up.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Because I want to avoid like situations like this. This is a good example. Yes, it was GrieferNet, but what if it was just like a random org that was hunting down like random
This
players,
was a-
and then
this was a
you
good
just so
movie.
happen to have a streamer in like the turret or like in one of the other parts of the party. You kill them, and then all of a sudden they say, "Hey, these guys killed me. I'm a little pissed off," and you know, in a moment of like heated emotion, tells all of his guys, "Hey, mass report them," or just like set like some
Heat
sort
of
of report,
emotion.
and then
Yeah, that's it.
write this
Mhm.
as the following. What's to prevent that from happening to anybody else? That's more my concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's get into the weeds about Herbazedia. Okay, so I have a video. We have a video showcasing all the occurrences that we've. So the issue is that we've encountered or killed Herbazedia. Well, we've killed him 4 times in the period of 30 days. Okay.
Okay.
We have a video showcasing all of the occurrences. You guys can go watch that video on Gank Hub. That's the name of the channel. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, Comanche. Anybody who watches it, the audio mixing is awful. Okay.
It happens. It's okay.
I love you, dude, but it's awful. Anyway, so at the on the 4th encounter, it was a bounty hunting encounter.
Mhm.
We weren't even bounty hunting Herbazedia. It was his friends, turns out. So he wasn't even on the bounty board. They were doing bond missions. around Hurston.
Okay,
And so they had like
so
a big, they had like a big group of bounties. Like, hey guys, there's a big group of bounties. Let's go fuck them up. And so that's what we did. So
okay.
that
So
on that
in-game
last
mechanics.
occurrence, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So bounty, and we have a video. I mean, in the Roy's guide video that Roy
Yeah,
made.
I've seen it.
It's yeah, it
I love
shows
that
it
video.
shows
Yeah, it's a good video.
yeah, it shows the segment of us
Media Discord.
in that encounter.
Um,
Anyway, 6 players got suspended between 3 to 7 days, and 2 of them had never killed Herbazita before.
nope, not at all. Just make
And
sure
it
you
was
have a
for
link
stream
back
sniping
to
and
them.
harassment. I list the dates on the occurrences that we've done it. 2 of them were just for Jumptown, like July 3rd and 4th.
Anyways,
Jumptown. One was
I'll
Hurston, one was
unmute Discord
Denmark.
here in a second, but basically just make sure your
Can I
comments are
just-
geared towards
okay,
like
so
your
they do
opinions
define
and
what
comments on the
harassment
stream.
as if you're jumping
That's kind of
from
what
server to server,
Stompy and I
all that
are playing off
right?
of at the
That's
moment.
how they define it. Now, I'm gonna
I
ask
don't know.
you.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's how they. I think that's defined as like excessive griefing or harassment, is some of that stuff.
When you go out
Now,
of your way to
my-
try and find a server with a person on it.
Yeah, like if let's
Oh
say
no, that's fine. Like
you're-
all of our
let's say you're
comments
on
are
this
going to
guy's
our own
server, and
channels,
he
but
sees you're
I
there,
also
he
have
jumps to a
Discord
different server, and then you
unmuted,
leave
so
and you
your
follow
comments will
him
come across into my
to the
stream too.
next server, right? Like, and you continue to do that. So my question for you is, did you guys specifically jump onto the server knowing he's there?
To my knowledge, no. It was just we already pre-existed on that server,
Oh,
and then
fair enough.
someone either saw like a group of bounties that he was a part of,
Yeah.
or saw his bounty.
Okay.
So
And
on the
I,
third, on
Yeah,
the third and
no,
fourth,
dude,
there wasn't even bounties involved.
Say whatever
It
the
was
hell you
just-
want.
he was
I'm
in-
just
he
saying,
was
make
in
sure that
the
they're
general area
geared towards
of
responding.
Jumptown.
And I just
know,
want to
your
highlight
thoughts
to
and
people
opinions.
that if he does have somebody in his group that is friends with somebody in Sfur's group or Sfur, right?
No,
his
no.
group,
You have to agree with everything
the
Esper
server,
says.
the way it
Everything.
prioritizes which
No, I'm
server puts
kidding.
you in, it will prioritize according to whether you have a friend online, and you will end up a majority of the time on one of those servers
it's
with your
just,
friends, right? So
Griefers
it,
part.
I mean,
And then
that
the
is a
issue with that-
feasible thing.
The issue with that is that this is during like a low point in like population. I mean, we're still
No,
kind of at that
I put
point
it right
even
on
if
my
we're
Yeah,
stream.
we are.
Like,
It's still really
So if I
small.
like hop on a
This guy
server,
slays
I
a
find
lot.
myself joining a lot of the same servers. As a good example would be like Lord Kamak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He is pirating most of the time. He's pretty active in the PU. I'll end up on the same server and be like, well, here I am again. Is that intentional? No. Is that just how CIG's like current system works sometimes? Unfortunately, yes. And that does happen.
Yeah. And the guy plays
guy
a
with the
lot.
bounty.
He's played 33% of all hours in 1 month.
All right, Discord unmuted.
The guy with the bounty, did you guys recognize that name from when you had like previous bouts in like say Jumptown or any of the dates on that list? I'm just curious.
I don't know if one of my guys recognized it or not. But I
You
don't
weren't
think it
involved
really
in this
matters.
one
If they're
specifically,
different, they're different
or
days, you guys. They're different days.
okay?
Not the same session.
I'm just
Sorry,
curious. That's
mentioning?
all.
What?
What is mentioning? I would have to go.
Yeah.
Like took
We
some
got
thoughts of what's going
suspended
on.
for that, for stream sniping, harassment.
They're talking about Herbazita
Yeah.
now. How
is
the
what it
guys
is.
got banned for legitimate gameplay, 100%
CIG,
legitimate
I wish you
gameplay. That's
guys
not even
kept
like
this stuff in
infiltration.
mind when you're
They picked up
issuing
bounties from his
suspensions.
crew and they killed everyone in the crew.
Just
There we
because
go,
they're
yeah.
a streamer doesn't mean we're leveraging streams.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be fair too, I have had times when I fought somebody. King Chaos, actually, he's always streaming, and
Yep.
we jump on a server, and sometimes we end up on a server, and
Mhm.
now King Chaos, I'm gonna say is a good sport about it. Don't get me wrong,
Yep.
but he does sometimes feel like, because if we go to the event he's at, we're gonna attack him because we're not in the same Discord together.
If you're
whatever.
not in the same
And
Discord,
he-
if you're not in the voice channel, our policy is that you're fair game. Like that's just
Yeah,
how it
and
works.
he
That's how it
will
should be.
feel like
100% agree.
like
That's how
maybe
it is
we
with us,
jumped on
too.
a server with him or something, but that's not what's happening.
And that sometimes
I will
even
jump
involves
into,
friendly
like, if
fire
somebody
with the
says, "Oh,
alliance
this
members.
person's
Sometimes
streaming,"
new
after
guys
the
show
kill,
up, or
I will jump into this
some old
their
guys don't recognize
stream
new
and be
guys,
like
or new
GF
guys
and stuff
don't
like
recognize
that.
new guys.
Or
David
speak
Gravy,
with them, right?
yeah.
But maybe
Yeah, you're
that's
gonna-
a bad
you're
idea
gonna
because now
recognize,
you
or you're gonna
like,
get
oh,
friendly
he was
fire,
stream
and it's
sniping the
okay.
entire time.
It-
You know,
I
shit
recently
happens.
had that happen where we ran into someone that same night in the PTU. I hopped into his like Twitch stream and said, "Hey, good fight. Was that you in the? I think you were in the cuddy earlier. Nice running into you." And then instantly, I was just banned. No questions, nothing like about that. I
Oh
said good
yeah.
fight, and it wasn't even like sarcastic. It
Who
was
was
just trying
that?
to be like, I think it was like 5-star or something like that. I think
Oh
that's
yeah,
the name.
5-star. I think you said it was. Yeah, that
Yeah.
guy. Oh yeah. Oh, he's one of the band people. The first time I ran into him, he was absolutely using the invisibility bug and just
Yeah.
kept like attacking people invisible
Yeah,
and
I wanna
pretending
I
like he
wanna shy
didn't
away from
know.
like this becoming a
All right,
conversation
I'm
about
sorry.
that,
I'm
but like
sorry.
the situation is still the same. Like
It's just
maybe
ironic.
maybe it brought up like the pretense that maybe he thought it was like stream sniping because I recognized the name, I saw it, we killed him, he pressed charges, and it was just like, you know what? Let me talk to him a little bit later and just be like, hey, good fight, and then that was the outcome, unfortunately.
Yeah. And like, look, like I have this up right here with another communications with Will.
Hmm.
So he had. So we at this point he had joined the Cogum Discord, and this is in a private channel, like a council channel, with just a few players, and then Will and Dracadius and Xylo had access to it.
Okay.
And he came on one day and he reprimanded me and Fisk, saying that, like, asking, "Hey, why am I getting reports that you guys are stream sniping on St. Patrick's Day?" I had no idea what he was talking about. I tried to rationalize it. I was like,
What? Okay,
"What
so
could?"
do you have any idea like what he might have been referring to? Or you like seriously were like completely
I
took
had no
aback by
idea.
that?
We
Okay.
weren't even playing on St. Patrick's Day. Like,
Hmm.
I have
people
I have
people
I
just
have
throwing
no idea.
random reports.
Yeah,
That's
I
great.
have no idea. I tried to rationalize it. I was like, well, what could it be? Like, I told him, and I highlighted. I was like we're a moderately sized org with allies. We join on each other's server depending on what is called out. And like maybe one of my boys that was playing that day called out like, hey, there's someone to fuck up. Anyone would come help, and they killed the guy, and it just happened to be a streamer. Maybe that's what Will is seeing. I have no idea. I don't know if that was the case. I was just
Okay.
throwing something into the wind to see if that's what it could be. And then Will, to my surprise, he was like, he was taken aback by the statement, by the concept of friends joining on friends to do something in the game. And he's like, that's explicit harassment of a player or a group of players. What?
So this is
What?
something that I've been noticing. This isn't just from here, but just watching some previous videos and looking at different sources for this kind of stuff about like reports and just DM conversations. It feels like a lot of the language is sometimes all over the place as far as the support team goes. I don't know if that's always the case, but
Where's
it
my
feels like there's a
headset?
lot of
I would
inconsistencies
agree with that.
for like
My other
expectations,
headset.
and that's got to be
Is
tough
it
because
around here?
you're looking at what, 3 different studios. I don't know if they're all in the same studio. I don't think they are though. I know a lot of them are in Austin, but there's got to be a disconnect there, right?
I don't know.
I know you're
couldn't
not
say what
CIG.
I
goes
I
want
know
to
on
get
you're
in
not
the.
my
CIG.
wireless headset so that way I can
I know you
Like,
are Chris
other
Roberts. I've
wireless
seen the
headsets
name
that way I
tag
can
on.
listen
So
yeah.
to
Oh
we'll
wait.
go over that.
Oh wait. Anyway, for those
one sec.
for those interested on what the result of this was,
Undercover.
Yeah, what
yeah,
was it?
Dracadius messaged us like a day or two later, and then like after further investigation, we've concluded you've done nothing wrong. Like, so nothing happened. There was no like Will
This might have
came
been
at us with an
this seems like more of a
unsubstantiated claim.
misunderstanding than anything else, but they shouldn't be using DMs. This feels like wait, can you even access anything through Spectrum? I know you still had a ban somewhere. I saw it on your
I
profile
can't
page, right?
DM in Spectrum until
Okay.
ask me again in 2031.
Yep, we'll do.
Uh,
Do you still have
Lucifer.
access to like support tickets and stuff like that if they
Oh
like
yeah,
send
yeah,
you
I do.
something?
They
Okay,
can
that's
still
what
do
I was kind of
tickets, and
wondering.
they
I've
email me.
never actually been banned in Star, so apparently not doing anything like right in that case. What is
Well, it's
this?
because we're not super evil griefers like
So
Mr.
the Sylvan
Griefin over
case.
here.
Look, so
Um,
throughout this PowerPoint, I have like a couple of examples of like it's not really directly tied to moderation issues. It's more like what the heck is going on over there at CAG kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, like the Sylvan case was really weird.
It's
Sylvan
quite
was one of the
simple. They have
passengers
Bob moderators who
on the
think that what
experience
we're
on the
doing,
first one.
what Griefernet is doing is atrocious and absolutely shouldn't happen. And even though it's not in their terms of service, and even though it's not in
Is
their
this the
end
guy
license
with the like really
or
nice
end user
smile
license
that,
agreement,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
going to
Okay,
punish
right.
the
He
people
just like
anyways.
we thought his
expression. I
laugh
because
remember
was
they
the report
believe
when
that
it first
it is
hit.
not
It like
acceptable.
clapped into the laugh. It's just
Yeah.
like it felt. I thought okay.
Which
Initially, I thought he was
that
one of
is
you
a
guys.
legal
Like, streaming. It
problem.
was just that was his reaction.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. But we liked him so much that
That's
one of the
having
guys
those
that used to be
people
with
do
us, he
that
used it as a,
and not punish them, kick
as
them
a-
out, or
as a
correct them,
thumbnail
You're
on
talking
his
about
video.
fire
Carl,
them, whatever
right? Yeah.
needs to be
Yeah.
done. You are opening the
didn't wanna
door
say his
to
name.
legal
Not
actions
to bring
that
that
this
the
up,
players
but
could
guys,
potentially
um,
level against you
just
if they
wanna
have
throw it
the
out there. Please
desire,
feel free to
the
jump
time,
into
the money, or the will.
Discord and follow us on YouTube as well.
Anyways,
We are not taking live callers. Just a heads up as well. We are going
I
to
don't
keep
say
that.
anything about live callers.
I'm just saying, so that
Say
we don't
anything
have
about live
like
callers?
14 people in the, like the waiting room waiting to chat or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you have
Is
any
there?
questions, I will
Is
say
there?
if there no, there isn't. But
Oh.
if there are any questions, please redeem this. You can use this. This is just a system that really helps us keep track of all the questions as we go along. Just because the chat's going at Mock Jesus right now, that's why it's even on slow mode. Even then, it's a struggle to kind of keep up.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
with that being said, use that system. We'd love to answer some of your questions. If we go a little bit further, we're almost like 2 hours in. We should probably move on a little bit here. But you're talking about Sylvan continued. I'm sorry to
Yeah,
cut
so
you off
just
there.
real quick. So Sylvan, so Carl made a video about the experience using his face on the thumbnail because we thought it was a nice reaction. And
Yep.
and Sylvan, he was very concerned. Like he was speaking in his own Discord. He was very concerned that he was gonna get in trouble for that for some reason. And then he messaged and then he DM'd Carl as like an employee of the company to a customer to ask him to modify his YouTube content because for like to prevent professional issues at his place of work, which I thought that was kind of weird. I'm like, CIG, why would this guy be afraid of that? I don't know.
yeah, no clue.
So that's just weird. It's not really much to do with the moderation, but
Yeah, I gotcha.
yeah. And then there's like the Mammon incident. Mammon's kind of like the EU Griefernet. Some people say they operate a lot much the same as we do.
They're not
in
related
terms of
though.
crashing events and stuff.
Yeah.
They've been.
How do I never hear
getting
about them?
because they're on the other side of the sea
So
from us.
EU,
I don't know, I feel
completely
like
different.
you
Like
hear less of that
region.
community just naturally.
Griefernet's simply just
Yeah.
better.
But anyway,
That's why.
Um,
I'm gonna kind of shuffle the topic a little bit.
I wouldn't say they're
though.
better. I think
After
they're
you
just
talk about
really
this,
good
we'll
at advertising themselves.
wrap up with the Mammon,
very.
and then I kind of want to talk about some different things, if that's cool with you.
yeah,
What
yeah.
did you wanna say?
I do want to, because I don't want to be missing all the questions, right? So we do have a question from, I don't know how to say
we
the
can
Honda.
see that later. We actually have the option to go through like a queue list. That's why we
Okay.
use that.
Oh, okay,
It
all
will
right.
be, yeah.
I'm
it
not
won't get,
familiar.
like, flooded out.
Okay.
So
I'm not familiar.
Yeah. So just real quick to wrap this damn thing up. It's real fast.
That's all good.
They've been getting hit with excessive griefing throughout 2024. It got to the point where they were like super desperate. Like they wanted to try to mitigate bans as much as possible for just playing the game. And so they
Okay.
messaged Nikau or Nassau or however you pronounce his name, which is like the EU support rep over there. And they were like, hey, just to let you know, we're going to hit this event, but we're not going to use any streams. We're doing it through infiltration, and here's like proof. And then turns out, and then Nikau just like turned around and like told the targeted org what they were going to do. Like, very
Bobs.
weird behavior.
That is very weird behavior. Like, what is that? Like, you guys can't allow the game to like just be the game and
can't
like, let
allow it to
people-
happen. No, this isn't a sandbox.
that's weird.
No,
It
there's
would be
rules
strange
to the
about
sandbox.
If,
Very
again, if
very
they had supply and demand, and I was like, oh, we're gonna hit
undefined
the supply chain,
rules.
and
Almost
then
like they're
CIG
written in the
let
sand.
our enemy know they're gonna hit the
Close.
supply chain. Like that would just be so weird. That's a strange thing to do. That is very strange.
Yeah.
Like, give them a
it was-
warning.
It was really weird. It was really weird.
What does that
Anyway,
tell
we
you
can-
about the CIG freaking developers though? I'm surprised they even let PvP at all, because it seems to me that they are not even for it themselves at this point.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they like it too much. At least the
No.
kind that don't like they don't like any sandbox PvP. So
Yeah.
There was, we can take this question. This is actually a real good one. From Heimdall. Let me bring that up.
Ty
He
Hondo?
asks,
I have it
yeah.
here. I can read that.
Yeah,
Sir
why don't you go ahead and
mentioned
do that?
earlier that they don't utilize stream sniping, but members might independently. If a member stream snipes and relays information to Griefernet comms, how do they respond to that? Is it just not sanctioned, not our problem on a leadership level? Because if we totally didn't know it was a rogue member, is the excuse, then that sets a bad precedence.
That's why I say it just gets too deep in the mud with stuff like that. That's why CIG needs to be hands off.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
That would be my response to that. They need to be hands off.
Okay.
And then and it's the streamer's responsibility to protect themselves. That would be my response to that.
So here's we're going to move on to the next section. What systems could be implemented to reduce moderation workload and improve an organic player experience? I'm talking like, what could we do to have that hands-off environment while still maintaining some sort of system that is, you know, somewhat balanced? I'm just curious. Do you have any ideas? I have a list here. I could go over a couple. The first one we've already like brought up multiple times, and I think even the last show we were talking about this: clear and concise code of conduct in terms of service, all in one location, are the biggest part. I feel, because we have the main code of conduct, which doesn't really cover a lot, which I wish it had more. The other part that I really don't like is that it's segmented between a couple of, you know, different posts by, I think, just silo, right? So we had the main one, which is the Spectrum post here, and then I'll post the other one, which is a reply to Sill. So it's not even like an official post that is like the headline of it. It's more of a comment on a post to kind of clarify. And it doesn't really even clarify it. It's even more vague, is the language behind it's just not super clear. That's the issue that I have with it.
Oh, this is the Sill. Let's see.
Yeah, this is the Sill one.
This is the one where we did the podcast.
Should be reserved.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of the that was the issue that we had to begin with, was that even though we all like all the other orgs, I mean, realistically, I think Griefernet is really unique in what they do, right? Because we all pretty much don't target events and stuff like that, but we have the concern, right? Because it's like, oh, here's a vagueness. We can decide that this is excessive griefing. Then you have so yeah, that's what this is really just kind of centered around.
It's a hard problem to tackle because it's such a cultural issue now in terms of like the player community. Because now it's gone to the point where what Griefernet does is reportable to these people, like to the players that we attack. Because it's reportable simply by the virtue of us being there.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean,
it's just us being there. You know.
Here's my other thing. So why is it just me? Maybe it's just me, but it seems like CIG is definitely is getting more. They're really like tightening the noose or something, right? They're getting so. What is going on there? Like, what is the concern? Because is it they're afraid that you're actually killing gameplay, like and there's going to be less people willing to play as a result, or because from my experience, from what I can tell, that's not the case. I mean, you guys have existed, done these things, and it never killed gameplay in the past. In fact,
exactly.
I would say 100%. If they want to ban anyone, they should ban master modes. That seems to be killing gameplay.
If only master modes was a person, right?
Yeah. So I mean, is that the concern? Like, is this just like a knee-jerk reaction to try to like, oh, we don't want to scare people away, and Griefernet is the bad guy, right?
You're the boogeyman of the verse at that point. I mean, you could type Griefernet victory into a server, and there's a handful of people that will just we actually do that. If we need one of our guys to get into a full server, we'll type Griefernet victory into the global, and people will drop out, and our guy will get right in.
It's no longer 30. It's no longer 30K. It's just Griefernet victory now.
Pretty much, yeah. So, do you think they could replace the? I don't know. Instead of having 30-day bans, could they put you into like a max security like prison cell in the verse and have it be the most difficult way to get out of the like game? Do you think if they had like systems like that in place and like
don't
proper
even
wanted
don't even go
levels and all
there.
that, do you think that could be better? I don't know. What do
Dude,
you think?
I
No.
would be
That's a lot of
okay
theory
with
crafting.
anything, with any sort of in-game solution that they want to make. I would jump through so many hoops.
I would rather have
However many
that.
hoops they want us to jump through, I
Yes,
will do
in-game
it,
solutions,
and I will be
100%.
happy to do it because it's
Also,
better
Let
than
the
being
game handle the
banned.
player. Let the
Mhm.
game
So
handle
you're
the
saying
player.
the biggest issue you have realistically is that you just don't give you any clear definition, and that continues to be the problem.
Yeah, they don't give us they don't give us anything to work with, and I'm not gonna like just stop playing the game, which is what they want us to do. So
Okay, can I ask you this? When you guys get a ban, are you surprised?
right currently, well, we're
Yeah, like does it surprise you? Does it shock you?
Or do you just like accept the consequences of what's already happened? You know,
like yes and no, right? Since we've received it before, we're not surprised in that fact, like, in that
Yeah.
matter. But yes, as in like this, especially this latest occurrence, like the Onzia, they need to unban us for that. That's ridiculous. There was no harassment. We hit them once. How could it be harassment? We stayed at Miner's Lament. We let them come to us. How is that harassment? No streams were leveraged. It was infiltration, which is allowed explicitly and told
Yes,
to us
the real
multiple
griefers
times
are
by
CIG
Xylem,
banhammers.
by
Agree.
RSI, and by Dracadius.
So is the
Okay.
message here that you're all just can't exist?
That's what it seems like they're trying to tell us, man. And it sucks because we're really utilizing their game to its fullest potential currently in live, in my opinion.
so the question is, given the current trend where the bans have been a little bit longer and longer each time, last time it was a week, right? This time it was a month. Do you think that's going to continue to grow to like a larger length?
I don't know.
Given the
I'm hoping this
that's
podcast will enact
If
some
they go
change,
any longer
maybe.
than that, I guarantee you there will be lawsuits.
So my impression, I mean,
Yeah.
other than if this makes any difference here, but my impression is that they're making a statement. They're saying first ban 7 days, second 30, next ban
2 months, 3 months,
extended.
maybe.
Yeah, and the ban, what they're doing is they're progressively building some form of a case to say at some point we're going to remove you from the
Just
game
permaban
altogether.
at that
Yeah.
point.
Not
That's what I was
quite.
wondering too.
It hasn't progressed that way quite.
Okay.
Quite like that. Like we've
Okay.
had short bans followed by like following long bans. Like
Yeah, okay.
so I don't know.
Stop hitting charity events for dogs. Have you ever had the fear that John Wick is going to come after you? Sorry.
John Wick is with us.
Guys, the charity thing only happened once, and I don't feel bad about it. It's content, okay? So,
Okay, this might be more directed toward like PvP and not so much like moderation, but do you think that CIG needs to paint a clear picture of the image when you leave your hab or your hangar in the verse? That is when you first sign up for PvP. Do you think they do a good enough job of doing that?
No.
Or does that need to be pushed a little bit more?
There needs to be a
Because it
warning
is an
sign on the
open
back of the
sandbox
hangar door.
universe.
I think
And
they need to
PvP
do
is
a
gonna
lot more
happen.
I think they need to do a lot if they want this sandbox PvP element to exist, which currently doesn't seem like they want it to. But if they do want it to exist, they need to communicate that to the rest of the player base because currently that is not what the player base thinks. The player base thinks that the best way to secure themselves from unconsensual PvP is to report people, and it's working for them.
Yeah, I mean, and you get a lot of like these Spectrum posts about like
Charity made
PvP
bank because of
sliders and
grief in
stuff
it.
like
You know,
that,
I
but,
wouldn't
like,
be surprised.
realistically,
Oh, that sucks. Your bank got
vision-
crashed. Here, let me
and
give
I'm
you
not
more
even
money.
joking. I know it's funny, but I'm not even joking.
money.
Like that's what
Yeah.
like people want to see. I mean, we've come up with solutions, right? It's not on us that they haven't gotten far enough in development to have any of these solutions, but we come up with solutions like high security, medium security, low security, no security systems, right? Risk and reward.
There's no such thing
things
as a
like
high
that.
security system at the moment.
Like
So,
the PvP
fleshing out a
slider
crime and
should
punishment
be
system at the
high
moment,
risk, high reward.
you would have to
or
have a high,
low
medium,
risk,
and low system.
low reward, right? Realistically, that's the
Or
slider.
high,
I mean,
high
it's
mid,
been
and no
it's
system.
been verbalized that it's supposed to be a dangerous game, right? You're not just supposed to be in a, wrapped in bubble wrap and be able to fly along safely. Like they literally had a whole freaking patch that basically was the pirate's wet dream, and that's physicalized cargo. If they didn't want some sort of PvP in pirating, then there would be no need for physicalized cargo, right? So sorry to those who don't like it, but like PvP is meant to be part of the game.
It's here to stay too.
Yeah, I mean it
That's
is.
the reality of it.
Although it seems, this is the impression I'm getting. I'm sorry to take over, but
That's
the
fine,
impression
fine.
I'm
Go
also
for it.
getting is that what you have is you have the overall like view of what like Chris Roberts or and whoever else maybe he works with, I don't know, that he wants this to be this way, right? And then you have higher ups within the company that don't actually like that, so that they're trying to limit it as and do these things as much as possible because they don't like the idea. They're the PvE players. That's the impression I get. I don't know. I could be way off base with that,
No, I think it's what we need. The first thing they need to do is they need to create like a base sandbox game that utilizes, PvP as like the solid, foundation to stand on. Because once you build that foundation, everything else can work around it. Because, conflict is going to be a natural part of the verse.
Yep,
Look at EVE
100%.
Online. It's constantly happening. You're seeing like org wars and everything else.
Yeah.
And eventually, once we get those numbers, we need that here too. It's just the reality of it.
I mean, if you want,
yeah.
I'm sorry, one more comment. If you guys want, if CIG really wants to help the PvE community,
How many
you guys
pirates
need
my
to
cargo
start
in front of
putting
me?
some effort into actually creating those in-game safeguards, the things that you've been promising. I mean, that's the real way to
Create
do it.
automated systems is what they need.
And
If
we're
they're
not
gonna,
against it. We're not
Right.
against it. We want it to be difficult. We don't want this like super easy free for all. We
Whoa,
want
whoa, whoa, hold on.
challenge. You know what I mean? So I'm not against.
We don't
that
want it to be
stuff.
difficult,
It's put
but
it
at the
there,
same time,
work on it.
we don't
Develop it.
to not
that needs
exist.
to happen. All right, go ahead. Please.
No, it's fine. I was going
We
to
want
say
the game to
what we
handle
need
the
is
player.
we need,
But
that
keep in mind that
in the first
Stanton
place.
is a
Be more hands off.
low security system.
Because right now it feels like we're getting a little bit of overreach.
Not
with
a high
lot of
security system.
stuff
They're
that
trying
we've
to
been
treat it like a
seeing,
high security
whether
system.
it be, how they deal with, situations like golden tickets. That's a completely different story. But like how they handle, armistice, create systems that don't create like arguments in the first place. Make it so that automated turrets are firing at like, ships if someone's trying to like steal cargo from my SCD-1 or something like that. It needs to be like that.
Yeah.
We need clear and concise rules. We need to make sure that there is some sort of system where, like, say someone is streaming, they have a way to be anonymous. And that should be a matter of not having the comms list the way it is. It's just a poor system. You should be able to just search a name and then see if you can add them. You already have like systems implemented where you can hide like party invite indicators, friend request indicators. That should also be included,
Yeah.
And then from there, that I don't know. That would be what I would do personally.
Yeah, and I want to jump on this as well. And like the reason why I'm so critical CIG is because realistically, I love the game and I love what you guys are doing.
Yep.
And I want to see it succeed. And it's literally like what I dreamed of as a kid, for a game, right? And I want it to all come together. Like, and if there was any way, honestly, the PvP community, and I'm sure you guys know, you guys like in Shadow Moses Discord, you guys are in communication with them, stuff like that. Like we're not over here saying, oh, it should just be some easy free for all for us. Like I'd be willing to give my input and what I think. So some things you could do, and that would actually help PvEers and make things challenging for us. Cause I want the challenge, So like for constructive criticism, right? I get passionate because I care about the game, and sometimes we get disappointed, right? So.
I do have a couple of questions if I can bring these up. This one is from Expat. What is Spur's view on the out-of-game post-grief harassment in Discord and video content? What is its purpose within the realms of this game? Is that classified as PvP? Now I got one from Heavy Bob after this.
Oh, she's asking what is.
I'll reread it if that's okay.
There's an issue with us like making videos after the fact.
Well, okay. So what is it? So she says your view on out of game post grief harassment in Discord and video content. Like, what is the What is the
What is the
Uh,
purpose? Is it
a little
propaganda or
poisoning the
like?
well there, expat, because I wouldn't call that post-grief harassment. It's just
So
we
what is
make
it then?
video content because it's funny, it's
It's
fun, it's
content.
entertaining.
It's content.
Yeah.
That's the
About
bottom
the
line.
stuff that
It
we
is
do.
content.
And in fact, I mean, let's just go back. You know, if I want to cite sources here, okay, he wants us to do that. CIG would rather us do it in people's discords anyway, instead of in global chat.
There you
So,
go.
Yeah, good
Right there.
point. That's funny.
Oh, sorry.
so yeah.
Right there.
Okay.
I have no issues with the videos. I don't know why anybody would. That I mean, like boasting videos for bravado and stuff like that. That's been a PV. That's been like an element of PvP
son.
since time immemorial, since the first player killed another player. You know.
Here's a question from Heavy Bob. Can I? I'm gonna kind of like speed run this a little bit, but I do like where our focus is right now. Thank you for the answer. Thank you, Expat, for asking. The next question is: when did Griefernet learn about the Anzia racing event? Was it before the before this week in Star Citizen or after?
Yeah. So let's go back to that because I have it right here.
Or
So
this week inside Star Citizen? That's what it is.
yeah. So it turns out this event was spotlighted on RSI website. We didn't know that until after the fact. But as Dracadius told us, it doesn't matter if something's sponsored. But anyway, we knew
Okay.
about it on the 14th. You see the time date right here on the screenshot of we're gonna burn it in here, but it's whatever.
Mhm.
This was our infiltration vector for this event. We knew this was existing on the 14th.
Okay.
We were in on their security orgs, right? The spotlight announcement happened on the 19th, so we knew about this before it was ever spotlighted. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want me to? I'll jump on another question.
Yeah, let's do that.
We got one from Z. Z, why are they trying to rewrite a wheel when they have a car, a game
on
cinder
Cinder
blocks? Yeah,
Yep.
they could just look at systems in other games and implement them as a baseline and innovate on them.
I wish
later.
they would do that more, man. I
Yeah.
wish they would be the world. Like,
We were just talking
I
about that
wish they would
yesterday,
just take
actually.
a lot. Like, there's so many elements from EVE Online that I just want copy pasted. It's not even funny.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
there were
what?
so many things that they could be utilizing from that.
It's
as
funny
like
that
a
Z's
base.
saying that too, because I was talking about that the other day. It's like I understand like he wants it to be his own unique thing, but there's some things that just work. And realistically,
Yep.
you don't have to reinvent the wheel on everything.
No.
Like you can take things from previous games. Like what are you gonna do? Like is somebody gonna come out with an MMO, right? And that takes place in Renaissance area and be like, we can't use orgs and trolls because those have been used in the past. You know what I mean? Like some things you can reuse, and I agree with that. Like stop trying to reinvent the wheel.
I
Like
mean, the inventory system at 324 is a case study of like reinventing the wheel. Like
yeah, exactly.
So
like it's not
like,
It
necessary.
works more like it's a placeholder system until we get like lockers as far as I mean the entire
The
damn
game
game
is
is
a
a
placeholder
placeholder
system
at this point.
But what I'm trying to say is that it's a
they're gonna redo
placeholder
the
for a new
inventory
system.
again.
Yes, PvP
I would assume
is
so.
player,
They have like
killing a
lockers
player.
at some point they'll probably do. I would rather have just a
no,
physicalized locker
PvP
that I
is
just
not player
interact with
killing a
and
player.
boom,
It is
there you
any
go.
kind of player
Yeah.
versus
I mean,
player
they've been
interaction, any
developing.
kind of-
I'm sorry, I'm just interrupting. They've been developing the actual movement of
Hold on,
you
where'd
in
Keezy even-
action of you taking your helmet and physically putting it on your head. So,
I
like,
don't see where Keezy commented.
that's cool, but like, it's a bit much. And honestly, I could do without that development. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Next question says, does it
experience.
seem like there's been a change in stance on PvP in game from their original plan? If yes, what do you think changed?
I think so.
It
I
does
mean,
feel
that-
like the era about that has kind of shifted a little
Do they
bit. I
consider
do agree.
camping over?
What
Yeah.
exactly? I can't really put my finger on it though.
I don't know. We didn't have any of these issues last year, and now we are this year.
It feels like they've
You know?
gotten softer. I think this is what I think. I think that the change is that they've shifted
we've
their
answered that
view
question for
from
'em.
like a passion project to a corporate conglomerate type.
Corporate
Make
identity.
us try to get as many people in this game and just kind of like I think mass mode is an example of that. We're trying to make everything so
Yeah.
everyone will want to come in and play and have as many players in there. I think it's changed, and I think it's a result
Here's
of
what
trying to
here's
get
what I
through a
think.
mess. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that in general. Here's what I think specifically. They are sacrificing the spirit of their game
Mhm.
for quote unquote a good experience, and to them that means people not having negative emotion.
Yeah, and you know what's ironic about that is it's having it. So they've been massively successful in the past with almost no advertising, right? And since they've that shift, from what I can tell, is happening, it's actually started falling off. And I don't think that's just a result of poor development or bugs, because the bugs have always been an issue, right? I think it's a result of them
I don't even know
trying
who
to
that.
like make
Who's
it more of a
who's the
mass
real lead
marketable
bus? I
game,
wonder who
and
that
they're not
is.
doing it
Griffin
right.
has
I
done
think
more for
so.
the
I
game
agree.
than
I,
CIG in 10
Add on
years.
to that, it looks like Murph had asked, do you think they are circling to keep cash flowing into the project as a whole? To some extent, it does kind of give off that when you have events like the F8C in the F7 like A marketing, the like just
Wait,
the
what
way
was the
those are
response to me?
driven feels
GM
almost like
plays
an
the
act of
game as
desperation,
close
but
to
I can't,
CIG's
you know,
advertisements
confirm
as
that. That's
possible.
a personal take on that one.
Yeah, I don't
But yeah.
know. I mean, it kind of gets into
Mhm.
tinfoil after a while.
Yeah,
But
yeah. A lot of theory crafting over there.
we have a few more. Let me just see if we can just get through these. The Bearded Blink said, it sounds like you use EVE Online as a sandbox PvP metric to shoot for. Would you say some of the other
is.
EVE systems would be beneficial too? For instance, kill mails and other character reputation tracking for OPSEC.
Perhaps.
oh my
I
God,
do.
let's
100%.
talk for an hour here. I want the pros. I want
I was
the
gonna
whole
say, yeah.
player economy. I want the manufacturing. I want the planetary
Mhm.
manufacturing that they do. All the sort of mining mechanics, the blops, dude. Oh my God,
Yes,
the Sino
100%.
mechanics. Like I want so
100%.
much of it, and I also want stuff from Elite Dangerous. Like guys, you know how cool it would be if we had Elite Dangerous's super cruise mechanics and interdiction mechanics.
Yeah,
Think of
that was
how
one of the
Hell yeah.
things. Yep.
think of how alive this
Like a
a
proper skill
system could
based like
feel
mechanic.
Yeah.
if
Mhm.
you saw ships physically traversing between the celestial bodies, and that you're actively hunting towards that instead of just sitting there with the bubble up and just hoping someone crosses your path and you have no idea
Mhm.
that's ever going to happen. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah, I
That'd be
agree.
amazing.
That's just
Um,
so
and
much
I
more
wanna,
in
oh, sorry. I was gonna say I want to
what
jump
sorry.
on the Eve Online thing too. I think Eve and also Elite Dangerous is a good example that I know like you want to reach a mass player base, right? But I think those two are good examples
I
of
forgot
what
an E.
keeps the game alive.
Prob
And
scanning.
the
EVE
PvPers
Online prob
keep
scanning.
the games
Whoops.
going. They don't go away because they like the challenge, right? Like so. Like I know people are like, oh, you're only like 1% of the community, but at the same time, it's like I've been in Elite Dangerous, and the PvP community is rather freaking strong there, and they're sticking around, and like an Eve, obviously, right? Like so, don't
Yep.
like you want the game to last, you want longevity as well, right? You got to balance that more. You can't just keep all the PvEers happy.
Directional scan too. Yeah,
Here's
probe
a
scanning and
question
directional
from
scanning need to be a
Keesyman.
thing.
He says, my experience with Griefer until recently has been mostly negative, but do they consider camping over planet side actual PvP? Honest question.
Yes.
Camping over planet side? Camping
Planet side,
what?
maybe like camping certain locations. I'm thinking probably, good example would be staking out a certain location to try and capture a player.
Yeah,
I would say yes.
that is PvP
I
100%.
mean, camping is the go-to for most every PvPer right now because there's no tools for us to go look for players.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
Yep,
one.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All ones.
Realistically.
So, like,
100%.
like it or not, camping is just what we have to do to get our gameplay.
Yes.
Oh, here's a good one. Expat. This is, I think this is a fair question. Without compromising your org strategy, what are some things that that events could do to protect themselves in both Discord and game from attack? Any tips or tricks from the man himself?
Not be so fucking
That's a
open.
really good question.
That is a good question. You want to throw him something?
You want some trade secrets?
Oh, here it is.
How much are you offering? So,
Hey, how many credits are you gonna offer?
no, if I were to say, I'll say one thing. If I were to say one thing, it would be compartmentalize.
Yes.
Okay, that's actually a really good tip. Honestly, come to
Yep.
think of it, honestly, that guy, I could do a lot with that personally. Yeah, that's a
Sorry.
solid
Okay.
tip.
Here's
Okay.
another question from Expat. Griefernet have likely been successful in unearthing certain mechanics that can be used against players that many may not know about. Does Griefernet actively contribute to educating CIG in these things using the bug reporting system to help the community? So, if, like, say there's an exploit or bug that you use repeatedly, are you using like the issue console reports to make sure that it's fixed in like later patches? Is I
Yeah,
think the question
as
there.
a whole, that's not our focus, but I'm sure there are some individuals that have done that.
Okay.
I know our one of our members, Griefer One, has done quite a few issue council reports and
Okay.
reporting bugs and stuff to CIG. But as a whole, we don't focus on that. We're here for our enjoyment.
Sure. Yep, that's fair. It's enough time spent on a broken, alpha to put that much more, effort into it.
Yeah,
All right.
for
Good
sure.
answer.
Yeah, I know.
So kind of want to pivot to something a little bit more
Let's hear
positive.
it. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
here are some things that I have noticed that we really appreciate, and it's kind of like the spice of life that we want to see in the game. And like big, and it's gonna be a meme. It's gonna be funny because we meme this guy all the time. Pretty much the whole PvP community. Our boy Enigma from ITC. Okay, that guy is a man. We've crushed those guys so many times. So many orgs have crushed these guys over and over and over. But man, they are resilient. If I gotta give them props, they are a resilient bunch. They come back over and over and over. I haven't had any issues with them reporting. I don't think they do any reporting, which is awesome. They have Enigma has gone out and try to form like an alliance and like an intel network with other like-minded orgs of his kind, like a lawful orgs.
Yep.
Great to see. I love that, dude. Um, and like there's other orgs, like any other org that doesn't do reporting, basically, and they're trying to use
Okay.
in-game ways to
Yeah, use the game.
mitigate um,
100%.
the main antagonist that is
I'm
Griefernet. You
almost
know,
100% positive my responsibility is finally gone.
Ashen Initiative. They're not really. I mean, we're friendly with Ashen Initiative for the most part. You know, Spec Snipers. We don't really like the guy. I don't know if he does any reporting, but if he doesn't, props to him. Vex from Spectre Security Contracting. I don't think he does any reporting. Um, and like any of the other, we've hit so many orgs. Like we've hit like 32 events we've crashed since the experience back in late January,
Yep.
and only now, recently in this last week, has the 31st event has caused a ban. So,
So as far
um,
as like ratios go, it seems like the mass reporting is kind of still in the minority, correct? Like 2 events
yeah,
out
but when
of,
it happens, it's a big issue.
like, when it rains,
30
it actually
days for
storms,
28
right?
people, it's
So
ridiculous.
30 is the limit. Can I just highlight what you said? So using in-game mechanics and finding a way to fight back rather than just reporting because it hurts your feelings.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
realistically,
Just because your security
like
fails does
that's
not mean
cool. Yeah,
yeah.
that's cool.
Because your
That's really
security
cool. Like,
fails
yeah,
does not give
Yeah.
you the ethical high ground to mass report people. You
yeah,
know.
Oh, there are nads
that's
again.
really cool that they're doing that. Yeah,
Or
yeah,
that the
yeah.
security,
Personally, I
oh, we
would
suck so
rather
bad at
have,
security,
this is a
we're just
highlighted
gonna do the next
section
best thing
in
and
the
report them.
transcript, but I would rather have
Right.
that hands-off approach that we're talking about, where even Xylo said, a PvP solution to in-game conflict should be the way you reach a
I
resolution.
wish what they said would
I
actually
wish
be
that
what
were the
was the
case.
case
I
in
know,
reality, though.
but I would rather have that kind of hands-off environment. MO2
A
does it. I
PvE
know that
solution.
it has its problems, but I
Mhm.
feel like I'd rather be dealing with that than dealing with, issues with moderation and support teams. You know what I mean?
Can
Where
I
it
just
crosses over into the IRL.
Yep.
Yeah,
evidence we
yeah.
don't moderate? Could have played ads during your intermission, you dumb. Fair point. Sorry, I
Damn.
found
I
that
just
funny.
It's all good.
kind of reaching the end of these slides here, but the
Yeah.
one point I
It's
want to
okay.
make is like people say, "Oh, you have a reputation Griefernet, so therefore you are justified in having your account access taken away." I feel like that's such a bad view to look at how what do you like. Here's what
It's fucked up.
reputation should cost Griefernet. It should be social consequences. Like it should be like it's harder to form a relationship with other orgs, or it's harder to do business. It shouldn't mean to the community or CAG
It should
that
be impacted by in-game consequences
Yep.
as
yeah, not
opposed
it
to
shouldn't mean
yeah.
to people like, oh well, they're just free game to report, and it shouldn't mean to CAG where they just don't do a thorough job. in
Why doesn't
investigating
Ninetales get banned?
if it was
Mhm.
actually rule breaking or not. You know?
Yeah, yeah. My opinion
So-
on it is, you're right. I don't think just because you have a reputation is grounds for banning, but I do view it as like, at the same time, you can't be surprised because you have a reputation. Does that make sense?
Yep.
You
Kind
know
of
what I mean?
like,
I'm not
is
saying
kind
it's
of the
right.
whole,
Yeah, I'm not saying
you
it's
made your
right.
bed and laying in it kind of, situation.
Yeah,
You know?
I don't even think that's
it's like,
right.
oh, big
No.
shock, and you say
I mean,
that you
I can
got
understand
banned, I'm not
why we
surprised by it,
shouldn't
I mean, there's
expect.
right, but there's
or-
not being surprised, and
I
there's,
understand why
like,
we shouldn't be surprised.
it
At the same
being-
time,
banned,
The reputation
it's
developed,
still
like
not
Esther
right
said, should be a
because we're not
social
surprised that it
reputation
happened.
issue.
We're not surprised that we're the bad
not
guys that people
a
think we're the bad guys and don't
CIG
like the bad guys. You know what I mean?
issue.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
the image we want to cultivate. We are we're the terrorists of Stanton.
I do have another podcast question. I play Rust, so I know what it feels like and have enjoyed ruining some days with some people, despite what many think I enjoy PvP, but even I know when enough is enough. Have there been instances of internal moderation by the org to crack down on individuals you may have felt went over the line? Is there moderation
Yes.
internally in the org
Even within
or
the
away from
alliance.
Oh
Yeah.
yes. Over the last 2 years, especially, I've been cutting down on people's certain behavior, because there were individuals that were doing a little bit too much, and I didn't like it.
Okay.
Which was anything pad ramming, hanger killing. We've stopped those entirely, and they get their ass chewed out when they do it, and I find out.
I'm not even gonna respond to that.
Any fucking around with people in hard armistice. We don't mess with people in hard armistice. There have
Okay.
been events that have come to my attention that are like, my guys are like, hey, we could play around with that. We could kind of goof around with that event, and it's like hard armistice. It's all gonna be a hard armistice. And I'm like, no, Ito, we're not doing that. We're not fucking around in hard armistice. We're gonna avoid that. 'Cause
Okay, so soft armistice is fair game though, right? Aside
Oh,
from
yeah.
like pad ramming. Okay.
weapons free. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I can fire
The
the
moment you
weapons, I'm
leave
going
that
to use the
hanger, it's fair
weapons.
game.
Yeah.
I
As
feel
far
like
as I'm
people are gonna be
concerned.
shocked to hear this and be like, "Wait a minute! So you guys don't just have no emotion and ruthless killing in
Oh
your
my god,
minds,
what?
and
They're people?
You actually have some rules? No way!"
Right. There's
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
order.
I'm not
like,
gonna lie, guys. There have been individuals in my org that have stream sniped a lot individually, and we've cut
Yeah.
down. I've cut down on that a lot.
I can attest to that. I've seen
Aircraft
because I've
grenade
known-
cost World
I've
War
known you
One.
for I think a year or two now, and I have seen people get pushed out of the org or things have happened. He's definitely not lying. Like if there's one thing about Swear I could say, he's not a liar.
Literally everything you've typed.
He's an asshole.
Yeah.
But he's not a
What?
liar.
Save one message has been some bad
Yeah,
do
faith
we have it?
argument
Oh,
were
God.
you either.
Sorry. Go ahead. I was looking.
Who's he talking to?
Oh, I was just gonna say we probably should start wrapping it up, if anything.
we should, yeah. So I
Yeah,
was
do
gonna
we-
say,
Do we have more to go before you wanna? Before we do
Is
that?
there
Like,
really
do you have
Chris
to-
Roberts?
I think
something
we're at a
else?
good point. I think we came to a conclusion that the issues are the underlying ones from before.
The CIG,
I've reached
yeah,
out
that's the issue.
to some of the members from the team and like DMs to see if we could have like an active conversation. Sadly, they never got back to us. And, I understand that there was like a time you were talking about this for where they're cutting back on their Discord presence because there was a little bit of like IRL, or probably like job issues,
Yeah, the CIG was not satisfied with their community outreach to our side of
Okay.
the field.
Sure.
Due to various reasons, like there's animosity in the community due to how they have treated us.
I wonder if they're
But that-
trying to dial that back just slightly. I'm thinking from like a professional standpoint, maybe that is more damage control, trying to make sure that, they're upholding themselves to a standard. If there's going to be any communication,
Upholding themselves to what standard? They have to set a standard first.
Or no issues,
Yeah.
right? That might be the case.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I just
Elder.
it sucks. It sucks that the game has
Mhm.
so much potential, and I feel like we're really living that potential of the game right now. GrieferNet is, and
Yeah.
we're being punished for it. And if I were to end this stream on anything, I would say fucking unban us. It's just ridiculous, guys.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Okay. With that being said, we are going to call it there, guys. Tonight's episode will be on YouTube tomorrow, so please make sure that you go over there, subscribe, check it out. We'll be posting that at about noon tomorrow. And if you guys haven't joined the Discord, you can pop over there.
Yeah, please jump into Discord. Also join, subscribe on YouTube. You know,
Yep.
check out the YouTube.
So if you guys have any recommendations for someone that we could go raid, let us know and we'll send you over that way. With that being said, we are going to go back and we'll catch you later. So again,
Alright.
thank you, Sfer, for joining us. Really do appreciate it. And
for having
it
us
was,
on.
it
I
was a
know
really
there's
good
not,
conversation.
Yeah, dude,
Enjoy
thank
it.
you so much, man. And yeah,
I hope so.
I feel
Okay.
special because Fur don't typically do this stuff. So
No, he doesn't.
hell yeah.
I was gonna say, hopefully,
He's an anomaly.
What is it? 20-day
Right.
vacation goes okay from Star Citizen.
20. I've been in Elite Danger, so if you want to join, Fur, you can
There you
feel
go.
free to join me.
All right,
Yeah,
guys, have a good night.
I'm gonna start playing
Gonna
that
deaf
more.
for a
actually,
sec
not
for
gonna
it
lie.
It's fun,
Yep.
man. I've been enjoying it. But with that, yeah, guys, have a good night. Feel free to jump into the Discord, subscribe to YouTube, and have a good night.
All right, peace.
As soon as I grab the source. Okay. So, I think to sum up that entire thing, it goes without saying that, I mean, I like PvP, but at the same time, I also like to mine. I like to experience everything a game has to offer me. I'm a huge fan of the sandbox for that very reason. The sandbox allows me to do what I want to do at any given time of any given day. But that also means that everyone else in the verse
Carrot release,
can
just a frame to fly around.
Sec. Okay, sorry. To sum up, yeah, anyone else can mess with me. I can go out and do what I want at any given time, but anyone else can now come and mess with me too at the same time. If I can go and interact with someone else over here, I have to expect that someone else from over here can also do the same thing to me. Okay? That is exactly what a sandbox is about. It's about being able to have the freedoms to do whatever you want. The developers build the verse. They build the rules that bind the verse together. And within the confines of that verse, we do whatever we want. That is a sandbox. That is the pure definition of a sandbox. And it's really unfortunate that people don't realize that. It's unfortunate that people think that they have any kind of privilege whatsoever, even if they're streaming. It doesn't matter. First off, if you're streaming a game that is a live service that anyone can interact with you at any given time for any given reason, you're an idiot. Well, no, I'll take that back. You can stream. You're not an idiot for streaming, but you're an idiot if you don't expect someone to take advantage of that particular source. It's really just dumb. In EVE Online, people do that all the time. But streamers got wise. They hid the different elements, because in EVE Online, it's a lot harder to detect what space you're in. Like, I can go, okay, that's Galente space, or that's Caldari space, because the different backdrops for the space were the same for those styles of systems. The gates that they hit, they're all designed based on the faction, okay? So you can tell what kind of space they're in, but EVE Online has a shit ton of systems. Literal shit ton of systems. To find that one person in just that quadrant of space, Caldari space, for example, good luck. You're going to be spending hours and hours and hours doing it. You're not going to find them. Or you get lucky. Either way. In this game, it's not as hard. It's not as hard to find someone. You can look at it. There's only one system, guys. One system, 4 planets, multiple moons. Some planets have up to 4, some have about 2. I've been to every one of them. I know what they all look like. I can look at someone's stream and go, oh, he's on Daymar. Or, oh, he's on Walla. Those crystals right there, that's from, whatever moon that may be. Those are Walla crystals. I'm going to go to Walla and I'm going to try and find him. I can look at a destination, and even though they use all these cookie cutter stuff, it's laid out in a unique pattern. They do their best that even though they're using the same structure, they arrange it in a way that it's unique. And I can look at that through the stream and go, I know exactly where he's at. First off, I know the terrain. Okay, that's clue number 1. Now, what place on that terrain looks like that? That's clue number 2. I can now deduce where he's at, and I can fly over there and I can fuck with him if I wanted to. I personally don't take advantage of stuff like that. I prefer more of an organic thing, but just be aware that that is obviously something people do. I've had it happen to me. One of my members were streaming and we had people show up. Turns out that those people were in said person's stream. They were stream sniping. We fought them, we won, we didn't care. Or we fought them, we took damages, probably even a loss or two, and the rest of us fled. That is still an interaction. Regardless of how they found us, that's an organic interaction. So, I'm going to end on that. I think everyone should really think about what a sandbox means to them. And if your answer is anything to do with not dealing with other people at all, you're playing the wrong game. You really are. I'm an industrialist at heart. I love to dig things up. I love to refine things. I love to build things. I'm an industrialist at heart. But by golly, I will also destroy the next person who tries to touch my castle. My sandcastle. With that, have a good day.